right. Good morning. Good morning, everyone. We can start our ninth National Remittance Stakeholder Network. I'm very pleased to see the full room. And yeah, we do have a full day of discussions. Today is an exciting day for me because it's the day of presenting some tangible results we have been working with. So yeah, looking forward. Before sharing and presenting the agenda with you, allow me to recognize Professor Augustus Ungwababa from Bank of Uganda, the DG. Dr. Hilary Musoke from the State House, and IFAD Country Director Mohamed El Ghazali. Welcome again, colleagues, BOU team, financial service provider, and all the rest. If you can display the agenda in the screen, basically we will start with opening remarks. And then we'll give the floor to the BOU team who will be presenting the data. We have been working tirelessly with your support. And then we have another important presentation run by Ronald from UBA. We have been jointly working on some of the data, towards the National Financial Inclusion Strategy. So I think also this type of findings will be very, very useful. So, and then we break, and then we will have a roundtable panel discussion with 4 experts in the room before having the closing. So without further ado, allow me to welcome my country director, IFAD country director, Mohamed El Ghazali, for welcome remark. Let's welcome him with a round of applause. Thank you.
Thank you, David. Good morning. I feel we are still a bit sleepy. Good morning. Thank you. Good morning, everyone. Professor Augustus Nwagaba, the Deputy Governor of Bank of Uganda, Dr. Hilary Musoke, the Senior Presidential Advisor for Agribusiness and Value Addition, distinguished guests, esteemed colleagues, partners, and friends. It is my great pleasure to welcome you all to the 9th convening of Uganda's National Remittance Stakeholder Network, which is gathering today to unveil the granular remittance dashboard. Let me begin by warmly acknowledging our key partners and stakeholders, the State House, the Bank of Uganda, Uganda Bankers Association, the financial sector providers, and all institutions represented here today. Today's convening marks an important milestone for us. We are not only gathering as a community of practice, but we are launching a new generation of remittance data in Uganda. Through the collaboration between the Bank of Uganda and IFAD under the Financing Facility for Remittances, we are introducing a granular remittance data network and framework and an interactive dashboard that will significantly strengthen our understanding and use of remittance flows. At IFAD, we have always believed that remittances are far more than financial transactions. They are lifelines. They support education, healthcare, housing, and small businesses. They strengthen household resilience and sustain local economies, particularly in rural areas. But to fully unlock the development potential, we need not only flows, we need accurate findings that lead to insightful interventions and business strategies. Until now, much of our understanding of remittances has been based on aggregate data. Useful, indeed, but they are limited. What we are launching today changes that. For the first time, Uganda now has access to more detailed and actionable remittance data, including transaction values and volumes, remittance corridors, transfer channels including digital versus cash, geographic distribution across the country, and selected demographic characteristics. This level of granularity fundamentally transforms how we understand remittance behavior. And importantly, the interactive dashboard makes this data accessible and using, turning information into a practical tool for decision making. This brings us to the most important question. What can we do with this data? For policymakers, this means evidence-based decisions. It enhances regulatory oversights, improves market transparency, and directly supports the implementation of Uganda's national financial inclusion strategy. By understanding who sends, who receives, and how transfers are made, we can design more targeted approaches to reach underserved populations, especially rural households, women, and youth. For the private sector, this data opens new opportunities. Financial institutions, fintechs, and remittance service providers can design more tailored products, expand services into underserved areas, and improve customer experience. Better data also drives greater transparency and competition, which are essential to reducing the cost of remittances. Today, sending money to Uganda still costs around 8%, well above the SD target of 3%. With better data, we can move closer to that goal. For development partners, this initiative strengthens our ability to design more effective programs and investments. It allows us to better connect remittances with broader objectives, such as financial inclusion, rural development, and climate resilience. Let me also emphasize the importance of the National Remittance Stakeholder Network. Over the past 4 years, this platform, established under Prime Africa program, has grown into a vibrant space for dialogue and collaboration. Now its role becomes even more critical. Because the value of this data will not only depend on its availability, but on how actively we will use it, the next phase is not about data collection. It's about the data utilization. Looking ahead, we are also pleased to connect this work with the International Day of Family Remittances, the 2026 campaign. This global initiative recognizes the immense contribution of migrant families and promotes safe, affordable, and impactful remittances worldwide. The launch of Uganda's granular remittance data systems comes at a critical moment, positioning the country as a global and regional leader in advancing evidence-based remittance ecosystem. As Prime Africa concluded last year, our collective responsibility is clear: to ensure that the systems, partnerships, and knowledge we have built continue to deliver impact well beyond the life of the program. Before I close, allow me to extend special appreciation to the teams who made this work possible. From the Bank of Uganda, I would like to sincerely thank the team led by Ms. Millie Izengoma. Thank you so much, Ms. Millie, the Director of the Statistics Department, together with Emmanuel Sesemambo, Ronnie Alinda, Margaret Makanga, and Prosper Abigaga, as well as the colleagues who contributed to this important achievement. From IFAD, I would like to recognize Edgar Muganwa and David Berno, who led the technical assistance from our side with dedication, passion, and professionalism. Let me close with a simple reflection. Today, we are not just launching a dashboard. We are unlocking a new way of thinking about remittances, one that is more precise, more inclusive, and more impactful. I would like to thank again the Bank of Uganda, the Uganda Bankers Association, the State House, and all of you for your continued partnership and commitment. Together, we can ensure that remittances are not only flows of funds, but powerful drivers of inclusion, resilience, and sustainable development. I thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Mohammed. Another round of applause for our country director. And now, very pleased to give the floor to our guest of honor, the Professor Nwagaba, Deputy Governor of the Bank of Uganda. Please welcome with a round of applause.
Very glad to be here this morning, and greetings from Bank of Uganda. And before I go any further, I want to, those who are Ugandans, I want to make a small karango. Just all of you look at our pull-up. That's especially the other one. You may not have recognized it properly. We, Bank of Uganda, we have written there 1966 to 2026. If you read it critically. Bank of Uganda is celebrating 60 years this year. And I want all of you to celebrate with us. I don't want to hear people saying, we didn't know this. We are celebrating 60 years, not only of existence, but of impact to not only Uganda's economy, but to African economy, and also to household economies, which is very, very important. So greetings from the bank, and therefore all protocol observed. We have here the EU delegation to Uganda. We have senior presidential advisor, my brother Hilary, from State House, who is head of diaspora department, and also the Minister of Foreign Affairs. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, good morning to everyone. And also congratulations, Miri, you can again stand up for recognition for bringing us here. You are the one who has brought us here together with our partners from IFAD. Very, very glad to see you. And Mohammed, we are very, very glad to see you for this partnership which has made this possible. I'm informed that we are here to represent the breadth of Uganda's financial ecosystem, and this presence therefore reaffirms our collective commitment to ensure how remittance data can help not only our BOP, but also can be, this is the lifeline. Those of you who may not understand remittances, has been a lifeline, it has not been statistics. This is a lifeline and a household impactful information that we have been able to use and also to get. And therefore I want to congratulate IFAD, our partners, and Bank of Uganda, Uganda Bankers Association, for this great milestone. Remittances, ladies and gentlemen, are not merely statistics. Let me emphasize this point. They represent sacrifices of our Ugandans have lived, those who may not have seen our diaspora people, how they are suffering out there in the diaspora. I have been there. I have worked with them. I have been one of them, working in London toilets. You all know my story. And digging graves in London and so on, where I made a lot of money. Those who are just thieves here stealing money of government. Some of us have worked for this money, and we are what we are because of hard work. So I know what diaspora means. It is not a statistic, it is a lifeline. So we work for this money. I worked in London, everywhere. Me, I was working, I think, I had, those who understand London very well, I had London, Warwick, Coventry, Birmingham. I had that corridor, and I was cleaning those roads, digging those graves, working in those hotels, and I came here with quite significant, you look at me, I've been in the Bank of Uganda for only 1 year. Don't think that this suit is from Bank of Uganda. No. This tweet is for us who have been working very hard. Don't think that is Bank of Uganda. So we have been working as part of these people. So maybe I know what remittances mean. This Hillary who is here knows what remittances mean. So we know what we are talking about. They represent sacrifice. We sacrifice a lot when we are working there. And we provide to our families. These people provide their families, both informally and also formally. And therefore, in fact, remittances have proven to be very, very sustainable source of foreign currency flows as well, as you all know. And when we compare with some other inflows, let me just help you to know this. Our inflows are largely from coffee, 2.5 billion. Remittances, 2.5 billion. So you can imagine it competes with coffee. Then we have tourism, 1.7. So you actually, if you get tourism plus remittances, about 4% of the entire GDP, 50.2. So it is one of the most fundamental inflows that we have, especially for our BOP. Therefore, it is incumbent upon us as stakeholders, policymakers, and institutions to ensure that we measure, therefore, these remittances properly. And for many years, Bank of Uganda relied on annual personal transfers, surveys, especially working on the informal surveys, with little aggregate data from administration. So this is a very, very fundamental achievement, really, for our statistics department in Bank of Uganda, because our statistics department now, led by Miri, is saying, no, it is not only informal system that should provide this information, but also through formal systems to capture both aggregate data that then can form the holistic information to capture both granular data and also big macro data to ensure that we can then have full holistic balance of payment data and any other information that we want, which is also very descriptive, as you know. So in June 2025, the Bank of Uganda, in collaboration with our international partners, especially IFAD, introduced an enhanced remittance data collection framework, and this expanded coverage to include remittances service providers across the financial sector, and also introduced more frequent transaction level reporting. The goal was straightforward. This was to ensure significant remittance activity to go on, which initially was uncaptured, and for policy makers to ensure that this granular data becomes reliable and useful for policy, especially making. So I'm encouraged by these results, which indicate, as I already told you, that we currently now just get the point very clearly. The amount of money we get from coffee for this financial year, 2.5 billion, and also we have been having remittances, 1.5 billion, which now Miri has helped us to capture another 1 billion. Now it is 2.5 billion, a very big round of applause. It is more accurate. These figures are now more accurate, and this is not simply a larger number. It is a more accurate figure, which distinguishes itself, and this matters enormously for policy, because now it captures how the remittances are good, where do they get it from, what do you use it for, and so on and so forth. I remember in 2019, UN contacted me. They wanted me to help the entire UN system. They gave me a very big project. I was in London, I was everywhere, I was in New York, I was everywhere, I was in Amsterdam, everywhere. And I was able to capture, about 1.5 or 6 something around there. So I can see now you have moved ahead of me to be able to capture, collect. I heard the meetings. I remember in Leeds. I heard the meetings in London. I heard the meetings at Old Trafford. Those who don't ask where I belong now. I know what people of Arsenal wants to hear us these days. So I heard the many meetings also in Manchester too. Manchester City at Piccadilly, those who understand London, and I was able to capture about 1.53. So this is the number we have been having. When I also captured the tourism 1.7, that was 3.2 over about 46.7. It was about 3.4% GDP. So this is very wonderful now that we're able to capture information that is required to devise more cost-effective means of gathering such information and establish comprehensive positive data on remittances. Now, there are other countries also who are very good in capturing data, whom I want to recommend you, MIDI, and also our partners. The country like Philippines, currently I think the number is about $39.6 billion, or 39.6. And how do they capture it? They also use the same method that our statistics department is now moving towards, both administration and surveys. Surveys captures informal data, and then administration captures formal data through these remittance companies, the Western unions of this world, the MoneyGrams, the what other international payment systems, our normal commercial banks, and so on. So they capture all of that information. Philippines is able to capture $39.6 billion, which is 40% of their entire GDP. You can imagine. So these remittances can be a wonder in building a country's inflows. And now we are suffering with the foreign exchange pressures, as you can know, because of these wars. But first of all, Ukraine and Russia, and then what is happening in the Strait of Hormuz. And you can see that our diaspora community is a wonderful community that continues to give us these inflows and stabilizing our forex market, especially our exchange rate. This is a very, very important aspect of economic fundamental that we must salute. So progress of this magnitude does not happen in isolation. I wish to sincerely thank our partners, which have already done, and I wish to commend all remittance, therefore, service providers who are here, that you are part of us. Just make sure that you are in to the mark to be able to capture this data, which we are saying now is extremely important, especially for ensuring that we have quality data that can present itself in a way that can not only help the macro economy, but also the household economy and also the informal economy, as we have already seen. However, there are challenges. I already told you, I interviewed so many people in London, also in 2019. I interviewed very many people in Leeds, in Amsterdam, in Washington, everywhere. And of course, the challenge they were telling me immediately is one, transaction costs. Most of them were telling me there's a very high transaction cost. And when transaction cost is high, of course, they will find other informal means of getting these remittances here. And when that happens, of course, you lose the data. It will not be easy. So we need to work on doing something on reducing the transaction cost for these people. The SDG target is 3%, actually more than 3% target on average. But ours, I think, currently is estimated still at about over 8, which is still higher than not only SDG target of 3, but 8 is really high, and therefore we need to find a way of reducing it. Second is the quality of remittance data, where compilers remain a little bit not strong enough. We want to ensure that we can capture all this data, addressing these quality issues, of course, which require training. And then three is structure, is that when you conduct these interviews, because I conducted quite many in Dubai at that time, in UAE, everywhere. What we need to do as a country is to ensure that we train these people, so that when they go, they really go to as skilled persons who are having a very good return on their labor. So we need to ensure, and want to thank government here. Government has put a lot of effort through Ministry of Gender for streamlining this process. Now we have streamlined the process. We know these companies, what these companies just need to do now is to enhance training, we do skills development, and then when these people go, we can compete very, very effectively as other girls and boys are doing, especially these Malaysians who get very quickly green card in the US. So we should enter, therefore, this market with a good return under very good working conditions, and then seek markets of skilled workers that offer very high productivity and therefore can get a very good return. I want to thank Uganda's financial sector, all the players who are here, and for maintaining, especially the people in the financial sector here, because for us as Bank of Uganda, we have been able to, because our mandate in the bank, largely we have two clear mandates. One is price stability, to ensure that prices of goods and services are stable. And you can see that prices have been stable. A bag of cement, 34,000 and 34,000, so you can plan your apartment and complete it. That's our work, and we have been able to help you. You can clap for us if you want. if you want. Those if you don't want, it's also okay. But at least those who have been seeing what we are doing, we have been ensured under difficult circumstances. The bank has ensured that we don't sleep. We ensure that prices of goods and services are stable. Note that they are very, that we don't want to appear that the dollar is 3,720, and tomorrow you want that our work is going to make a dollar tomorrow morning that should be 1,000. That's not the work of Bank of Uganda. The work of Bank of Uganda is to ensure stability, not volatility. So we want to ensure that prices of goods and services are stable, and we have done that. How have we done it? Through people like these remittances, which help to bring in flows, and then you stabilize the forex market. That's how it works. Otherwise, if you don't have these remittances, you don't have forex, you don't have inflows, then the shilling will have too much pressure. You have inflation, you have volatility, you cannot control prices of goods and services. Number two, what we do in the Bank of Uganda is to stabilize the financial system, to ensure that the financial system is sound and stable also. And I want to congratulate the financial sector. People who have been working the financial sector is stable, it is predictable, payments are predictable, you can receive your payments, you can make your payments, you can work with these friendly institutions, and therefore we have been able to do our work, and this is very good. So finally, therefore, as we look forward, I wish to underscore the importance of this work, not merely as an occasion to celebrate progress, but also to call for sustainable initiative to improve remittance statistics. And the already countries which we can benchmark are already given. We have, by the way, Uganda is one of the best countries in conducting this informal data and get this informal data. So while the Philippines can come to study here how we are doing our surveys, they should also come because we are doing them better than them. And then also we go there and study how they are getting administrative data better than us. So each person has what you can learn from another. As the Baganda say, akana akatana ita katukaroza nti mama we afumba chi afumba obulungi akana katara jenda karateka dega ngunyene waragira ki arateka ki kumbe hariho n'abana abandi ba mama b'abantu abarateka ki abarateka kurungi. Well, also there are mothers also who make very good food. So let us learn from each other. You can go to Tanzania and study. Tanzania can come here and study. You can go to Philippines can come here and can go to Kenya can come here and see how we are doing. So if we have this synergizing, then you can have a very good way of learning from each other. We also merely want actually to reporting of this transaction, as well as recipient information, which should be able to see what we're using it for, what is it, where from where, is it sustainable, and so on and so forth. I believe continued investment in data systems, reporting capacity, interinstitutional collaboration will essentially enhance our way to build remittance data framework that is world class. That's what I'm thinking. And Uganda, we are very, very good in the data. You need to come to our statistics department, you need to go to UBOS, you need to go to all our institutions. We are very, very good in these areas. What we normally lack are smaller things like tools to use, so we can retool, and also systems to enhance them, and then we present world-class information and start also moving with your head high. Don't continue moving your head high when you are in other people's countries. People should also be here and send their children to study here. Not you. Why do you go to them? Let them also come to us. So after all those few words, I wish to now take singular honor and privilege to officially open this workshop. And once again, to warmly welcome and all our distinguished participants. And I'm confident that we shall have a productive engagement. I wish productive and insightful workshop, especially for participation from the financial sector, from Uganda Bankers Association, from our partners, from IFAD, and thank you also for supporting us as Bank of Uganda, especially for the financial sector and for driving this financial sector to be a financial sector which is very attractive, will remain very, very attractive for foreigners to come and invest here. And so let us be very strong enough also in the data, because people normally want data as evidence for doing their work. Many people these days don't want to guess. So I want to congratulate you as Ugandans, especially in this sector. Let us do good work. And let me end with the Bible. Some of us who are from East African Revival Movement, we are children of the Revival Movement, especially those from Kigezi. Those who come from other places, you advertise where you come from, nobody's stopping you. Nobody has stopped you. So for us, we grew up with the Bible, and I want to take you to Galatians 6:9. My mother told me, Galatians 6:9, it says, don't, just listen, never, ever get weary. Those who didn't go to good schools, weary is W-E-A-R-Y. Those who are like me, you just find yourself here by God's grace. Those who are in the Budoga Yaza, that Shauriako, some of us, we are 500 kilometers from here. We studied English from far. The real English word is don't get tired. Why are they using complicated words, which some of us don't know? Don't ever get tired of doing good. This is Galatians 6:9. Paul was writing to the Galatians. And the reason is because there's going to be a massive harvest in season. That's what the International Version says. King James adds, because you are going to harvest, especially in good season. So let us do good. Because Ugandans, I don't know why you are rushing to do bad things. Let us do good. Let us strive to do good. And the country people will enjoy this country. Everybody will come to invest, knowing it is investing with the good people, with the credible people, with people of integrity, with people who know what they are doing. You people, you have studied. We have got all these degrees. You need to know the degrees I have. I don't need to bore you here and how you have studied, but studying is not enough. People are not looking for degrees. People are not looking for how bright you are. People are looking for how good you are and what you are doing, whether it is credible, whether you are a reliable person, are you predictable, where did you grow from? And that's what the countries which are doing well, that's what they are doing. I want to thank all of you, and please have very good discussion. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Professor. I would invite all the audience to another round of applause for this very powerful opening remarks. I think I connect very well, the Ugandans' daily life with remittances. And I think we didn't get tired on working on this project for sure. So allow me to invite now to close the opening session, Dr. Hilary Musoke, Senior Presidential Advisor on Agribusiness and Value Chain Addition, but also part of the Diaspora Unit at State House. Thank you. Let's welcome him with a round of applause.
Good morning, everyone. it becomes very tricky to speak after your senior comrade, especially your lecturer and a mentor. But I'll try to share something with you. Dr. Hilary Emmanuel Musoke, Senior Presidential Advisor in charge of Agribusiness and Value Addition Development. I also head special duties to His Excellency the President, and I'm the Chief Coordinator in the Diaspora Unit of State House. Ladies and gentlemen, Professor Nwagaba, Dr. Muhammad, the organizers of this conference, today is yet another day that the Lord has made. I bring greetings from His Excellency the President, who is the main champion of diaspora affairs. You know very well he was once a diasporian for national cause. And in the past years, he has been sending us in the different diaspora countries to make sure that we find out issues affecting our people and how we can streamline the diaspora. Our diaspora unit is headed by Mr. Muhammad Bagonza, whom I'm representing now. He's on duties in the US, in Oregon and Seattle, still on our diaspora issues. But he sends greetings and appreciates IFAD for becoming a stakeholder in helping support, give us support, act as a support engine to the diaspora affairs. You will allow me thank you for voting President Museveni back into power. All this cannot be achieved when the political environment of a country is not stable. For anything to do on remittances, the diaspora people must be sure that their money is safe, that their parents and guardians are secure and alive. So if the president had mismanaged the political environment of this country, we wouldn't be seeing these success stories of diaspora remittances into the country. You cannot talk about this in Somalia, in Sudan, in Congo, in Iran, in Ukraine. You cannot discuss diaspora issues and remittances now because the safety and security of the nationals is not guaranteed. Diaspora is a very key issue because you've seen the figures that are coming in terms of dollars. And it is very important that we get data for government to plan and also to harness the opportunities in the diaspora. So the president is very deliberate and is the reason why he decided to set up a diaspora unit under direct supervision of HE the president to see that it feeds him with all the information, the different interventions that can guide and support our people in the diaspora. Having said those, let me formally read my presentation to you and how we can strengthen synergies to develop the diaspora community and remittances. Colleagues, good morning. Allow me to begin by conveying warm greetings from the head of State House Diaspora Unit, Mr. Bagonza Muhammad, who is currently out of the country attending other state engagements. I also want to express my gratitude to IFAD and the Bank of Uganda for organizing this important event to launch the granular remittance diaspora dashboard. Ladies and gentlemen, Ugandans living and working abroad remain a vital pillar in the socio-economic development of our country through their hard work and commitment. The diaspora continues to support families, communities, and business across Uganda through their remittances. Remittances have become one of the most significant financial flows into our economy. According to data from the Bank of Uganda, remittance inflows reached approximately US dollars 1.6 billion in the financial year 2024-2025, equivalent to about 5.8 trillion Ugandan shillings. These resources directly support household welfare, education, healthcare, housing, and small business development across the country. Beyond their financial value, remittances represent a powerful demonstration of the enduring connection between Uganda, abroad, and their homeland. However, despite their importance, many members of the diaspora continue to face challenges when sending money back home. One of the most persistent challenges is the high cost of remittance transactions, which reduces the amount that ultimately reaches families and communities. In some corridors, transaction costs remain significantly higher than the global target of a 3% advocated under the Sustainable Development Goals, SDGs. There are also challenges related to limited access to affordable financial services, regulatory barriers, and inadequate remittance data, which make it difficult to fully understand and maximize the development impact of these financial flows. This is why initiatives such as Granular Remittance Dashboard being launched today are both timely and important. By improving the accuracy, depth, and accessibility of remittance data, this dashboard will strengthen the evidence base needed for policy formulation, regulatory oversight, and the development of innovative financial services that can better serve both the diaspora and the remittance recipients. Reliable data will also help stakeholders identify opportunities to reduce transaction costs, expand high digital financial services, and promote more inclusive financial systems that enable remittances to contribute even more effectively to national development. At the State House Diaspora Unit, we remain committed to strengthening structured engagement with Ugandans living abroad and ensuring that their contributions are recognized and supported through appropriate policies and programs. The diaspora is not only a source of remittances, but also a powerful partner in investment, knowledge transfer, entrepreneurship, and international connectivity, all of which are essential for Uganda's long-term development. Let me conclude by once again thanking IFAD and the Bank of Uganda for spearheading this important initiative. We look forward to the insights, partnerships, and policy innovations that will emerge from the Granular Remittance Dashboard to further harness the potential of diaspora remittances for Uganda's sustainable development. Ladies and gentlemen, at one time everyone can be diaspora. Many of us were in the diaspora, even according to the Bible.
Of the lectern, I think Mohammed is not available. I will step in for him. Yeah. If the same gentleman can help me out to put back the lectern, I really appreciate. Thank you so much for being part of the team today to support us with that. So, without further ado, after these amazing, opening remarks from State House and from the Bank of Uganda DG, MEPI, and delighted to invite Millie Nakluago Izingoma, who was the lead of the team on this project. So, Millie, over to you to present the findings and to showcase what happened behind the scene. I think it's important to recognize the work of your team and appreciate at full speed. So, yeah, maybe we adjust a bit the lectern. Thanks. So, in the meantime, I think we can welcome Millie with a round of applause. Millie, the floor is yours. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Good morning to you all. You've probably heard my names, but I'll still say them. Nalukwago Millie Isingoma. I join regions Bunyoro and Buganda. And I'm glad to be here, Director Statistics, Bank of Uganda. Thank you all. I'd like to recognize our Deputy Governor, the Country Director, IFAD, and Senior Presidential Advisor, Dr. Hillary, the IFAD team, the remittances service providers here, the banks and the PSPs. This could not have happened without all of you. I'd like to recognize my team. Actually, I want the team to come here so that you put the faces behind the names. So Margaret, you'll stand beside me here. And great minds think alike, eh? You can see. So Margaret is the team leader of the services team that collects data and handles data on remittances. I would like to call Ronnie. Ronnie, please come up. Ronnie is our remittances officer, and he's the one going to take you through the dashboard. So I hope we won't take so long because I know you're all waiting to see the actual thing. I'd like to call Prosper. Prosper has been supporting. Now, Prosper is the IT part. We've talked about automation. You'll hear me talking about SQL and things like that. So there's Prosper and Conrad. So we've been working with this team. Conrad is also the one doing for us the machine learning, the dashboards, and so when you see these things flying up using Power BI, we are using young brains. And I also advise you, for those who have heard me speak before, I've said get the knowledge experts, Margaret, Ronnie, and add them to the young ones who are born in this techno world, and you'll get good results. So the results we are going to demonstrate are because of this team. And that's why I wanted them here as I take you through quickly. Before then, they'll take us through the dashboard. So once again, on behalf of Bank of Uganda, I welcome you and thank you for coming to this dissemination workshop and for making the time to be here. First, our apologies. This was such a short notice, but the full house demonstrates the importance of this, and I would like you to really give yourselves a round of applause. I think you are the people who are in the now and the future, because anyone who will put aside an engagement to see data is not knowing what is happening now, because now it's data that speaks, that helps you to make decisions. I would like to thank IFAD, David, Mr. Muganwa, and all the teams we've been working with. Thank you so much for the instrumental support that you've given us. We recognize the remittances service providers. I'm sure all of you know Prosper. If you've not seen him face to face, you've had his phone call, and Ronnie, the Forex bureaus, Ivan. Thank you. Ivan has been director for NBFI, Forex bureaus and all that, though he has now moved. But thank you. You're always with us, and thank you for supporting that part of the team. So the service providers, it is because of you that we are here. If you were not giving this information, we would not be here. So we want to thank you so much. We've been in and out trying to train you. Prof has talked about the training. We have trained, we've engaged, we've tried to understand your systems, and we've made effort to be able to bring in this data. Like Prof said earlier, we've been conducting the annual personal transfers survey since 2009, measuring remittances inflows and outflows to support our understanding of the external sector. These surveys have complemented the monthly aggregate data from the commercial banks, and also now I thank the commercial banks that are here. We've been using that data on a monthly basis and then aggregating it with the surveys. We've also been getting from Western Union, MoneyGram, and all that. But like was earlier mentioned, it's been very granular, very aggregated, and we're not able to do enough analysis. But we know that remittances have grown. In fact, Prof, you said in 2016 you found 1.5, and we've still been at 1.5, 1.6. So you can see there's been a gap, because that's about 10 years. 10 years from now, surely there's been growth. So you find that the growth has been more in the systems where we haven't been going in detail. And we kept with the surveys where we are getting the informal. So probably that's why we've been stagnant for some time. So I'm glad that in response to this, in collaboration with IFAD, and once again, thank you, IFAD, we enhanced the remittances data. And I'll not go into the details that has been talked about earlier, but I'm pleased to report that we have moved from the 1.5 to 2.5, almost doubling, a staggering 2.5. And on our side, for those who understand balance of payments, we've been having an errors and omission in our balance of payment. And to our great happiness, we were able to reduce the errors, meaning there's been a gap, and we've been able to close that gap. So I want to thank you all, and the commendable effort. These teams have been working day and night. We have been meeting with IFAD on a weekly basis, an hour every week, to look at how are the numbers coming in, whom do we need to help. We've been getting to the supervision team, the payments team with Rita. We want to thank them so much. Every time we would get a hiccup, we would get to them. And you know, for them, they have a bit of a stick, not so. So every time you would see a stick, you know that where we had challenges, we go to our sisters and brothers who have a stick, and then we raise it a bit. But it's not been so much of a stick. You've been greatly cooperative, and we thank you for that. So we've developed a framework that is modern, a user-friendly data interface. And there's a reason why I'm not projecting a PowerPoint. Or no, we are leaving the site to the dashboard. So this data interface automatically migrates weekly returns into an SQL database. I talked about the SQL people, these ones here, for cleaning and aggregation. So they've had to write code and what. So every time you get Prosper and team calling, you just know that our algorithm, whatever it is, has singled you out as not having sent in some information. So that is how we've been able to get to you as fast as possible. I must say, at first it was Excel's. The information is so much, it can't go into BSA, it comes through email. Ronnie's email is clogged, and then some people, I don't know if they couldn't bring flashes, but somehow these young people found a way, and I know a number of you have gone through this experience. But we've gone modernizing as we go along, and I must say, even as the supervision technology process comes, this is a preamble. Things will get much easier. And we'll probably move from weekly to daily. We'll probably write code or APIs, so you don't have to bother your heads. You just connect to your system and the information comes. The beauty is that you'll have already known what it is that is needed. So the results, like have already been spoken, is that 2.5 billion, a remarkable increase from the 1.5 from the annual personal transfers, and the outflows have been estimated to be about $402 million. The major sources of these inflows were the United States, Saudi Arabia, United Kingdom, United Arab Emirates, Canada, and Kenya. The primary destinations of the outflows include India, Kenya, United Kingdom, Canada, and Rwanda. I must say that as we were putting this information together, it was amazing to see that it didn't differ much, the direction and the sources didn't differ much from what is coming from the annual personal transfer survey, but the quantum, meaning there's been a gap in the quantum. So from what we were seeing, the channel, the sources and the destinations don't differ much, but the quantum has changed because of a better data collection process. So while these developments mark a considerable progress, I must emphasize that reliability on our remittances statistics rests fundamentally on the quality of the data reported. Accurate recording of transactions, values, and biological details of senders and recipients is not a formality. Our service providers in the room, you know what we've gone through with you. We want information about the senders, and then we go into that journey of personal privacy information. We can't give you, we are protecting, but I know we will get over that. So for some of these areas we were not able to, and that's when we understood that for some PSPs, having the KYC information of the sender is not in the model. But we believe all this will get sorted because you need to know the details. If we are going to inform policy, we need to know how many are the women, where do they come from, what are their ages. So the KYC information is important. And there are ways we can de-identify this data, we can minimize this data so that you cannot know that this is Millie, but you know that it's a woman from wherever, and so it helps in the analysis. So we'll work together with you because we believe this information is to support you as well. And I must say now that as Bank of Uganda, we comply with the personal privacy information protection. And we do take that very seriously. We de-identify and we minimize the data. So for those who have been worried about that, please do not be worried. We will be able to work together. And like Professor mentioned, the great countries like Philippines who have a lot are using both methods. In Uganda as well, we are not going to stop the annual personal transfer surveys because for those who use that information, if you access it on our website, it is very rich. It is the richest, and we are skilled in that area. We've done this since 2009. So we are going to continue with the personal transfer surveys, but they'll not be as frequent. We will carry them out every 3 years, and this is the reason why. We need to capture the informal remittances that are not coming in through these channels. And why is it important for you, the payment service providers and the banks? It is important so that we can tell how much of the effort we are making has been transitioned into formal channels. How do we work to reduce the cost of moving money? Because there's no way, if I'm in the diaspora, unfortunately, I've not worked in the diaspora, but like Doctor said, anytime anyone is, so I'm preparing myself as well. Yeah. So you find that why would I give someone $1,000 to take that risk if I can take it through e-money or whatever, and it gets to the person directly. So these surveys will help us to see that gap and how are we bridging it. And the results will be augmented or triangulated with the granular information that we are getting, so that we are able to ensure accuracy and also cover the whole scope. I must say that according to the annual personal transfers, of the cash transfers, those that come through informal channels, about 15%. And 23% of the recipients use those channels. So that is still a big percentage for us to leave out. And then we also have transfers in kind, which are also about 14% of the total transfers. The people who bring televisions, clothes, a suit, and things like that. So because of the way our economies are structured, we can't do away with that. So the surveys are still important, but they will be carried out every 3 years to top up the information. So with that, I conclude once again by extending my gratitude. We thank you, DG. We cannot take it for granted that you're here. We thank you for honoring this occasion, and we want to commit to you that we will bring the statistics that will inform that part you're very passionate about, the people who are in the diaspora. How is their money transiting? We will give you the information to be able to make policy decisions. I also want to thank Dr. Hilary for being here. We thank you so much, and we also appreciate, and again, our greetings back to the head of state, that we are committed to give you the information, working together with, aren't we committed? Because I can't say on my own. I think I need, because I may commit here, and tomorrow you do not give me the start. Please, are we together? We are together. I need a heavy yes. Yes, we are together. So Dr. Hilary, you can take the message back that the efforts will not be wasted. You will be able to see statistics that will inform the efforts that have been made, and we will continue to support in that way. IFAD, David and the team, there are no words to the kind of support you have given us. You have really moved us out of the comfort zone and jump-started us, and I think we are better because of you. So I thank you so much. I thank the team here, Margaret and the team. Emma has not been able to be around. He's traveled for a study in Addis Ababa, but Emma is together with the team, and thank you so much for the efforts. And we have trained this team, so just know that this information will continue flowing. Whatever you're going to see on the dashboard, we have availed already. You can find it on the BOU website, and you can find it on the IFAD website. We are working on a phone. Can it go on the phone? Yes, so you can. So anywhere you are, you will have the statistics. And these statistics are going to be populated on a weekly basis, monthly. They disseminated monthly. Okay, so monthly you will be able to see how these numbers are moving. So thank you, and I encourage all the reporting entities. Anyway, you have committed, and I know you won't let us down. We have to build our country together. So I want to encourage you. I know there's so much more we still need to do, especially about the KYC and about the purpose. We've had a lot of struggle about purpose. We are also doing a lot about purpose, but we know that our systems and we are maturing in terms of using data for decision making. So we are still with you. We are not going to stop training. We are not going to stop learning from you, so that we continue to give accurate data, like our DG has been passionate about the accuracy and timeliness of this data. So the submission of accurate and timely information as a shared goal for us all in this space. Thank you so much for the continued support and commitment. And I'll not end with a verse because Prof and Doctor gave a verse, and thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Millie and team. I think a great round of applause again. In the meantime, we'll ask Ronnie to prepare for disseminating and presenting the dashboard. You now understand, the privilege I had to work with Millie and the team. You can easily imagine, how we feel, the Thursday morning. We had a couple of hours every Thursday, so all the conversation were very, rich, I would say. So I take this opportunity again to express my gratitude to BOU to be part of this important project, and I think it was a mutual, achievement. I believe our role is precisely to support not only private sector but also public entities, in this catalytic, let's say, effort. I see Mohammed back, so if you don't mind, Ronnie, if you don't mind, for protocol reason, I'll ask again the three high-level speaker to jump on the flow for a group picture, if you don't mind. Since we do have the right representative of IFAD, Mohammed, I was representing you in the picture, but I would love to have you here with us on a moment. We won't take longer, it's just a minute. And then we disseminate the data. In the meantime, that the photographer, make the scene ready. I believe that this data will have an impact on your daily life. I mean, in terms of business, please. And as mentioned by Mohammed this morning in his opening remarks, we believe that the BOU practice will be seen internationally as well as a global standard to be mirrored and to be inspired. I'll take also the advantage to thank the CBK team that was part of this journey, but also the Central Bank of Rwanda, the Central Bank of Tanzania, which were part of the extended, peer learning. Thank you so much, DG, Dr. Musoke and Mohammed, for that. And once again, I wish to extend also my gratitude to Edgar, who was, kind of a bridge between Nairobi and Kampala, and his presence was very critical and relevant to drive the exercise. So you can stand, Edgar, and take your round of applause because you deserve it. Thank you so much for being part of this project. Really appreciate it. So before handing over to Ronnie, which probably needs a few other seconds, to Dr. Musoke, I think this data will also support enhanced coordination and innovation also at MDAs. We believe so. We spoke about with this with Mr. Bagonza in the past, so we look forward also to support you in this direction. So Ronnie, I think the floor is yours. All the eyes are on you and on the screen. Also, we haven't probably I haven't highlighted. This is it's an hybrid event, so we do have also people connected. Please confirm, Prosper. We do have people connected online. Okay. Yep. So yeah, Ronnie Alinda, remittance officers. This is the part of Bank of Uganda. The floor is yours for unveiling the data and the dashboard. Thank you. A round of applause also for Ronnie. Don't be shy. Thank you.
Thank you, David. Good morning, everybody. I'll be taking us to where the data is and some interesting insights so far. And just like the speakers before me said, I really would like to reiterate our gratitude as the statistics team for the cooperation we had with all the remittance service providers. So director alluded to it being on the website. It's under statistics, the BOU website. You'd go to remittances dashboard, and it's right there. There is a small background, and it's you just follow that link, okay, which will take us to a dashboard platform where we have hosted it as we unveil an updated BOU website. But I'll quickly take us through the interesting things of this report, what you've managed to do. We'll look at 2025. Excuse me, it's like my mouse is not very good. Okay, so there's been a lot about the 2.5 billion inflow amount, and there is also 402 million outflows over the year 2025. So this was from 2.12 million transactions for the outflows and 16.5 million transactions. So that just goes to show you how remittances are actually very high frequency, with the average inflow amounts of $151 for inflows and $189 for outflow transactions. We are able to drill down to per month. If you go on the left, you're able to go per month to see actually what happens, which are the inflow corridors that are during a certain month. But for now, I'll just go through the entire year. Without much ado, there is something interesting. We can go deeper because it's not only the values and volumes, we have also the direction, both incoming and outgoing. We have purposes and a novel thing, how these are distributed within Uganda itself. So I'll start with the inflow corridors. I hope you can see the yellow small line is really about the number of transactions. So it had already been said, USA for 2025, these are aggregates for 2025, January to December, was at 0.7 billion. And this, because it had also so many transactions, then followed by Saudi Arabia, slightly less transactions. You can actually drill through to the country to get the country details. For example, USA, which methods are being sent, being used to send money there. Here you can see most of the transactions from the US are digital, 85%, cash, 15.35%. And by cash here, normally we mean cash pickup from counters from the international money transfer operators. For the channels, for outflow to the US, again, digital takes over, and it's through bank accounts. So banks sending to the US 67%, cash deposits 31%, while inflows, it's normally the more mobile money options. Let me move away from the country focus. That was just to give you a sort of snapshot to how far this data can go. We also have Uganda region information, which I found very interesting. Thank you, Prosper. For example, in the central region, what are the trends? You know, in the central region, most of the inflows are from Saudi Arabia, then USA, then the Arab Emirates, UK, even Kenya, South Sudan, South Africa. You know, it changes by region, you know. Outflow, India, US, Kenya, UK, and the purposes. This particular box, let me expand it, brings up something that the director alluded to. The data we are able to share is only as good as what we receive. So some institutions have been saying, oh, the people feeling without a clear purpose, and that's why you see up to 33.7% of the purposes are other or unclear. But at least it's very clear that family support for both inflows, which are in the dark maroon, at $418 million in the year, and outflows $108 million in the year, were for family support. Then education, gifts or donations, savings and investment, entrepreneurship coming as purposes for outflows and inflows. Okay, so other than that, the purposes and the district distribution, where you can tell, I'd like to bring your attention to this small table here. Oh, it's not that big anyway, but it gives information that between urban and rural, we have inflows of 32.6% coming to the urban areas and 65% of outflows coming from the urban areas. Then the rural receives 24% of all total inflows and 28% of outflows. I think this is very important information for financial institutions and fintechs who are thinking of outreach into these areas. We also have information on the channels and institution shares. Let's look at the inflow transfer channels. 26.7% is cash, and digital has really taken over. That is $1.8 million in the year. 73% is digital transactions. It was alluded to earlier that our figures have grown by up to 1 billion, and this really is explained by what is in here. The administrative numbers we used to use before from commercial banks and forex bureaus did not contain mobile money, fintech transactions, but this new methodology, which is why it's very important to us, shows these new entities, these fintechs, guys who send through apps, through mobile money platforms, at 61% really through mobile money, 26.7% through cash, and bank accounts on inflows only around 12.5%. This pie chart even goes further to show this clearly. And when you go to the website, you can even drill through to get more information. For example, the PSPs, these are payment service providers, payment service operators. How are they doing it? What are this shows, for example, the average transactions, 95% are between $0 and $500. Same for outflows. What are the purposes? Here again, we see some of the challenges we're highlighting, where unclear purposes. I know we all have mobile phones and we type in the amount, destination, and when it comes to purpose, we put in some incoherent KX943. So when it comes to us as analysts, this is really what that means for us. So we'll keep working. Deputy Governor, we launched in May 2025 to commercial banks. So we've really been collecting this with our partners in the financial sector for just over 8 months. So with training and collaboration, we will get these cleared. Also, you can see through the inflow, the unique receivers, we have 1.1 million unique receivers through this payment service providers and operators. And look at the amounts. Very, average $100, average $28. So this is just testimony to how this is a mode that is really out there for most of the users. So there is all other information at the bottom, something about for the payment service providers. What are the genders? As again, I would like to highlight that there is a lot that's not reported, around 63% on that gender part, but females 16%, males, so males more receivers of inflows. Outflow data is much better here, because I think when we are sending funds, your KYC is with the institutions and they can report. So you see males are sending an average $28.7, $36 million in the year, while females at 30%. We also went as far as nationalities. I hope I'm not going too fast. Nationalities. So I'm sure there are questions like, who is sending money out of Uganda? You know, who are those receiving money in Uganda? They all Ugandans. Through PSPs, unfortunately, again, we have some blanks there, 65%. But, you know, Ugandan nationals, South Sudanese, DR Congo, Sudan, Khartoum, Burundi, Kenya, Mali even, Rwanda, USA, they are receiving. And outflows from Ugandans takes 93%. Then our neighbors, Kenya, Congo, South Sudan, resident here come next. So that's how much information we've been able to put together from the data that you send in. Away from that, I would like to highlight now the outflows. They don't get much prominence when we are talking about remittances, talk about outflows, but that was also the good part about this whole exercise, where you can see both sides of the coin. While you're receiving 2.5, how much are we sending out? Who is sending out? At what cost? To whom? And, you know, such other questions. So cash here, 42.5%. So we still see the strength of international money transfer operators or through their forex bureaus when it comes to this channel. And then banks at 57%. This is the values. Again, as you can see, banks, mobile money is only at 12.5 for sending, yet it was for receiving around 61%. So one of the best things about this exercise is looking at the profiles. And I think this was one of IFAD's chief objectives and wants. When our cousins, our brothers, our parents send their hard-earned money from abroad, can we tell what it's for, where it is going, how we can harness this to improve livelihoods, as Deputy Governor mentioned in his speech. So of the 46 million Ugandans, 1.66 million are receiving remittances, at least in 2025. You know, and outflows, senders, we have 371,000. This is all vital information for not only financial institutions, but also for policy. And what are the genders? This gap you see, 44% that's not reported for inflows, is a unique, if I should call it a small glitch in the ecosystem, where we have aggregators that receive and then send onward, so do not know the details of receivers. We call these aggregators in the sector. But we are talking with them continuously. We hope to bring this down so that it's as clean as you can see outflows. Everything that sends out, we can tell the gender. So, but from what we've seen, males are receiving more than the females. We even have an average of 193 per transaction of the 809 million that males are receiving, while females are receiving an average of $155 from the 588.2 million that's being transacted. What are the receiver age groups? This is personally one of my best parts of this information. When our relatives send, are they sending to the elderly? Are they sending to the young? You know, apart from the gender. And apart from the unreported, which is at 42, we have between 30 and 39, that age group receives an average of $181, around 20% of receivers. Then the next group is between 18 and 29. These ones receive 147 average per transaction. Then now we get to the older 40 to 49, receiving higher than the previous two sections, $200 per transaction. And then our Wazei 50 plus also getting 12%. The nationalities, again, I think this is also important. Ugandans are receiving 48% of this. Unfortunately, we also have there blank, which again, we are trying to clean up. And the purpose of leaving these here for you to see is to encourage you, when you have this information, please share, because policymakers, your CEOs cannot really make good policies when 44% is not reported. But from what is reported, it's clear Ugandans are up there, 48%. We have South Sudanese receiving 2%. Let me see what average they receive. $271 per transaction. Let's see, compared to Ugandans. Ugandans receiving around $166 per transaction. Then we have Eritreans receiving, look at how much they receive, 478 average per transaction. This is very important information when you're thinking about setting up maybe partnerships abroad and things like that. We have Congo DRC also there, receiving at 0.7%, Somalia, Mali, Ethiopia, India in the inflows. And then outflows, who's getting? Who's sending? This, when you compare this to the age groups of those receiving, remember it was the middle age, then the young. Here we have our 50 plus sending 33.5%. So of all outflows, the senders are 33% of the senders are above 50, then slightly younger, 40 to 49, then 30 to 39. You know, this is all very interesting information for outflows. And it's interesting because it shows from the purpose we had seen, family support, it flows that indeed the older people are sending either to relatives abroad or, yes, someone is saying tuition. Yes, if our purpose codes were better, we could tell. Then interesting also, stop sender nationalities. Let me see if I can expand this. Yes, I think that's clearer. So 55% of the senders are Ugandans. Let me see the average that they're sending. $104 per transaction, Ugandans. Then Indian nationality. Look at the average per transaction, $1,800 for Indian outflows, you know. Then Pakistanis at 2.5%, average 859, you know. A few blanks there. We have Kenyans, a lot of expatriates, I guess, $452 an average transaction. You know, South Sudanese, $200. Sudan, Khartoum, $541. Congo DRC, $100. Eritreans, we saw they were getting a lot per transaction. Also here, outflows, $1,888 per transaction. So this is the sort of how deep we are able to go with the data that you're giving us. So if we can improve the quality, improve the reliability, there's a lot of information we can get here. This is sort of a check on what we've carried out, we've shown before. The inflow bands showing that 93% of the data is between, I mean, of the transactions inflow are between $0 and $500, while 93 again between $0 and $500 for outflows. These costs seem low compared to what we've been talking about, but it's because this cost is what entities here charge. Most of you have been telling us when the money comes, you don't charge, you just put it on the account. Or if you charge an excise duty, you know. So That is why these amounts seem low. But it appears on our compatriot side, those who are sending to Uganda, the charges to them might be high. And we hope to also be able to show some of these going forward. That's we've been asking you for the foreign exchange you apply to what you receive to help us get more insights. As you can see, the outflow cost is higher. And remember, this was through, as you can see here, through banks, the levy fees, the tax. This is just still preliminary information. Most of you are not really filling in the costs very well, but you see what it's able to inform, both on the inflows and outflows. We have credit institutions having the highest fees. We have banks coming in, then forex bureaus at 0.5%, then PSPs for outflows with the lowest. This we hope to improve, and with your help and cooperation, we should be able to have more figures that reflect better the industry. Now, this is one of my best parts. I hope you'll find it exciting as well. How are our remittances structured on the world map? I hope it doesn't let me down. It's loading. Yes, there we go. So here we have really nodes for where the remittances come from, where they go. It's the bigger that's a pin. The bigger the pin, the more inflows we get from there. As you can see, the USA has the biggest pin. When you hover over it, you can really just see 28% of inflows, the amount it is, the outflows, and as I mentioned before, you can even go to deeper to see who actually, what other details, what is the gender, sending and receiving from the US, and things like that. But I normally like to experiment. We know we have a lot of relatives in South Africa. So let's go to South Africa and see. We have 32 million inflows, that 2.9 million in 2025, and 6.5 million to South Africa. Let's see who was sending money to South Africa, for example. Remember, this is preliminary, and this is just to sort of show how it goes. So inflow transfer channel, most of it is digital, and that digital is mobile money, then cash pickup, then bank accounts. Which regions of Uganda are getting from South Africa? We have Kampala at 36%, Wakiso at 35%, unknowns at 15%, Mukono, then Abim at 6%. What of the money going to South Africa? How is it going? Mostly cash, and mostly digital 76%, then cash 23%, bank accounts. Let's see the average, $100.4 per transaction. The bands are there. Let's look at the gender. I like to see gender, yes. Inflow of gender receivers from South Africa. Males 52.5%. How much are they receiving? 116.5% per transactions. And ladies at 43% with an average of $84 per transaction. This is all very good information. Outflows, males, now they are dominate, 72. This is Ugandans or males sending outflows. Again, we need your help on purpose. Purpose is unclear, but family support, inflows, family support, savings and investment, gifts, education, construction, healthcare, and emergency support. So that's how deep we can get into some of this information. But what of who is receiving? What are the nationalities? Ugandans, 91%, an average of $99 per transaction. Somalis, receiving from South Africa, 0.5%, 446%. Congolese, South Africans, Eritreans, Zimbabweans, Sudan, Kenya, the same for outflow. Who's sending? Ugandans and South Africans sending back home. Then unfortunately, some nationalities not mentioned. Zimbabweans, India, Burundi. Yes. So this is how much information we can get. This is now all public. As you can see, your fears of privacy, all this is aggregated, no identities, it's just to help policymakers, private sector, understand the market better. The age groups, we'd already talked about that, but let's jump out of South Africa. And I think I would like to wind up my presentation on that point. Thank you so much for listening.
Thank you so much, Ronnie. Please stay on stage. And the quantity and quality of data, I think it's amazing. As mentioned, I think this is one of the most complete data dashboard that I saw in my career. And just to echo what Ronnie mentioned, then to give you the floor for some comments and feedback, because that also was the aim of today. Remittance, we believe that remittance can be a gateway for financial inclusion. It's very important to see that it's 42% of female receive money and 58% of the male among the data that we have certain. 1.6 million unique users of people living in Uganda receive remittances. 43% terminated into rural areas, Mohammed. 43%. So it's a great number that we should take in consideration also for the other party that are working in rural areas. I think it's an important element. As mentioned by Ronnie, there are some gaps which the team and IFAD will be working to fill in terms of especially biodata for the inflows, the cost, and few others. But again, we believe that that was good enough to share with you. Perfection, I think it's not possible. So we appreciated this kind of result and we want to share with you. So let's open the floor for 3 questions for the moment, because we don't have too much time. I need to also to accommodate the next speaker. And then after the break, we'll have additional questions. Mohammed.
Cannot be asking question, but it's a comment. Thank you so much, Ronnie. And data is always very interesting. It tells you a story that you might not see. You gave an example of South Africa about the inflows and outflows, but I looked yesterday with David into the data, and it was quite very interesting. When you look in inflows in country coming from abroad, almost it's equal between male female. On average, like 52-48, so it's equal. However, when you look into outflows, you find that almost 3/4 are male who are sending abroad, and just 1/4. So maybe an applause to Ugandan women who are actually inflowing in the country. So this is one of also the interesting thing that struck me. Of course, there are other figures, but this is probably to be discussed in confidentiality somehow. Thank you.
Thank you, Mohammed. Let me go to Hedwin.
Thank you, David, and very good morning to everyone, all protocol observed. 2 things. I want to say thank you to the team at BOU, IFAD, and obviously the team at State House. This is what we have been dreaming for. This is what we've been waiting for. I had a company called Mocha Technologies. We are innovation-based, especially for the last mile. And our sample customer is the refugee. And we've been asking questions around how do you give access to a refugee who doesn't have identity, can't afford a phone, and so we are innovating around that. And this data opens up a can of worms for us, a very good can of worms for us, because I can use this data to create an alternative credit score by the amount of remittance that a refugee receives, and then I can lend them on this data. So this is paradise for some of us. Thank you again. And you have a brilliant team at the department. We are obviously going to be coming in to work with you guys and also show you what we are building so that at the last mile and in the rural area, we enhance real financial inclusion for people who are in the dark side. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Edwin. Thank you so much.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Shamira Chimbugwe. I founded Pivot Payments, licensed by yours truly. We thank you. And I want to commend the young gentleman for the technical innovations. I have two issues, and perhaps there could be a challenge, so be it. One of the raised challenges for last mile fulfillment or remittances, obviously, is cost. But that stems from us having to partner with already licensed institutions in the originating markets, for example, UAE, Canada, USA, and so on. Now, that means there's going to be layered pricing. There's their pricing and our pricing. The nightmare for us is having to have double regulation here and over there. The proposed solution could be state or BOU backed bilateral regulation or licensing agreements, where if I'm licensed here, what I need from that market, because you can have data sharing agreement for the providers, I don't have to go through the rigorous licensing regime, and same way I would have a letter of no objection for me to set up, and also to have I don't want to say watered down capital requirements for us to set up in those markets, because you are technically aiding us to eliminate or to phase out that party that is going to originate the payments. It means the cost is going to come down much, much lower from 8%, possibly to around 5% or 4%. That's one thing. The second thing I noted was the data sharing. And when I speak to the data sharing, the sender data is mandated by the person who originates that side, the provider. And because we don't have direct data sharing agreements between us, again, regulator-backed bilateral agreements at state level, that now we can share data between ourselves. We can't give them our receiver data. They should share with us sender data. And in that way, in the, so to speak, the APIs that they're sending to us, or the information pack that they're sending to us, is going to be including two sets of data: sender data and receiver data. It's going to include the geographical location, so your location is solved. It's going to include gender, contact, even as far down as occupation and source of funds. So I think for me, what I would like to encourage Bank of Uganda is to have their bilateral agreements for regulation and also for data sharing. Thanks very much.
Thank you so much. I see the last question for the time being, and then I'll pass the floor to Ronnie and BOU for comments. Please introduce yourself.
Thank you. Good morning. This is great stuff. My name is Sentongo Henry from Stanbic Bank. I lead digital innovations in global markets, or one you can call financial markets. It's more of an observation, but also can be coupled by a question. So I see in the top 10 inflow corridors, Kenya surfaces at about 13 billion US dollars. So is it a case of, and what stands out in the question is it because of the aggregators within the region that are sending money back to Uganda, or it's actual remittance flows coming from Kenya as an origination? Because there are quite a number of, remittance players within that space. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Ronnie, if you want to respond to this question, and maybe just to comment to our sister here, that we saw already some passporting project in your market, Rwanda, Kenya, Ghana, Maybe I don't know if BOU wish to share any plans on this regard. We'll be happy to know. But over to Ronnie and then to Millie and team and the DG if they wish to add something. Over.
Thank you, David. And I would like to thank all the speakers for the encouragement, the observations, and I'll go direct to the Stanbic question. The best part, I think, about this is we let the data tell us what it's about. So, as you said, Kenya is among the top 10. Average USD inflows per transaction, we have $28. I don't know if that would be, and you see how many they are. The transactions, 2.7 million transactions in that year. So we are getting transaction level information. We can go even deeper, as I tried to show earlier, of who, what gender, what age, to whom, to which part of the country are they sending. You're right, the inflows are through digital, mostly mobile money, bank accounts only at 14%, mobile money at 78%. What regions are receiving? 42%. Kampala, then Wakiso. We also have Mbale, Mukono in there, When we look at, let's go to I like to look at the gender and who are receiving. 84% are Ugandan nationals. We have then other nationalities, South Sudanese, Kenyans. So that's the novel thing about this data. Any question? You just have any question wherever you'll be seated, go to the BOU website and say, I saw these guys even have Australia. You click on Australia and you see what the data says about your questions. I just need to reiterate, the cleaner the data, the better quality the data, the more amazing these results will be for everybody. I hope I've answered your questions. Okay, thank you.
If I may add just a point, we moved from aggregation. Those are granular. Yeah. So I think you should just change highs and lengths. There won't be any other aggregation and aggregated data. So of course the payment hub, the aggregator plays an important role in the chain, but the points reported by the BOU team are, the granular. Yep.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Ronnie. You see how people are happy with the team, and thank you so much for appreciating the team. So Ronnie has handled the granular question, and the one from Shamira, for sure, we have taken in, and these discussions have been going on about how do we work on on reducing the cost. So what I would request is that let's have an engagement with you so that I pick all the details and then we get back to BOU and have a discussion, and then maybe engage with David. He talked about something, and then we see if it is within BOU's docket or government. The good thing, we have Dr. Hilary here. Both of them are here, and he is definitely going to take feedback. So I'm sure something will be done about that. And thank you for raising that. And for Mocha, thank you all for appreciating. And like we said, that this is as good as what you give us. That's why when I was committing to DG and to Dr. Hilary, I got you people to say, so this is not our product. It's for all of us together. And remember when we were launching at the beginning, we said we are going this together. So we cannot say this is a BOU product. No. So bring information. We support your decision making. So this you've seen has a bit of gaps on the KYC that I talked about, the purpose area, but also, purpose is also worldwide. Not sure, David? Yeah, purpose issue is worldwide. So as the world keeps improving on purpose, I am sure we are also going to improve. I also know that for some countries, David, I don't remember which one, maybe Rwanda, or what, I think it's Rwanda, where they have that kind of agreement that Shamira has talked about. They require the people who are sending to send that information. But we need to be keen on the fact that we do not want to delay. You see, sometimes when you're pulling a lot of information, those systems sometimes get clogged. So we have to strike a balance in between how do we get this information. But I'm sure I will work it out, because you've seen this is very important. So I don't want to take more time. David, thank you. I think you've seen how we need you. Please, if you are able to get purpose, if you're able to get KYC, let's fill this and please enjoy it. And also, I saw more hands up. So we are available. I think David will give, we have a dissemination something, email. Please, where you have any comments, because we're improving this, please feel free to share. Even as we are here, please feel free to give us. I've shown you all the team members. Give us all the questions you have so that we can improve this for the good of all of us. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Millie, and echoing your words before thanking Ronnie once again for the presentation. Please reach out bilaterally the team, you who is part of this fantastic force. And in the second half of the meeting, we will have space for additional questions if there are. And of course, this is an open dialogue. And as mentioned by Emily, this is a kind of community or industry-led project. So we wish to, to enhance as we go ahead. Thank you again, Ronnie. Let's clap and put hands for him once again. Before calling for the next speaker, allow me to just close this session saying that without data, we are just another person with an opinion. So I think data are very critical, especially in this regard. So allow me now to invite my colleague Ronald Ochan, Senior Research Officer at Uganda Banker Association. Please, Ronald, come on stage. And thank you so much for accommodating your multiple business meeting today. It will present the survey we administered last year against three main drivers, against the main three key areas that were included in the National Financial Inclusion Strategy. Ronald, over to you. Thanks.
Yeah, thank you, David. Good morning, everyone. Yeah, so like David said, I'm Ronald. I work with the Uganda Bankers Association as a senior research officer. This is an exercise we did with IFAD, I think to be precise, in the second quarter of last year. And of course, some of the things or the stats I might mention could have elapsed based on what Millie mentioned, that the current statistics as of 2025, about 25 billion in terms of remittance inflows in the country. But also, I think before I start, I would like to thank IFAD and BOU for the granular data dashboard they've created. I think that will be helpful for not just policy, but also supporting our members in terms of designing products and services that will ably support their clients. But also, that has also an impact on their profitability. So this is basically a diagnostic study to understand the terrain of remittances, but from the perspective of the banking sector. And we're basically, just a minute, first go back a bit. I need to capture that. No, the first slide. Yeah. So in this diagnostic study, we were basically wanted to understand the key things that we thought were very important. And that is the remittance cost drivers, transparency and the tailored products for the diaspora. But that is just within the banking sector. You can move to the next slide, sir. So I'll spare of course, we all know, like it has been mentioned by the previous speakers, remittances, of course, form an important source of external finance for the country. And since Millie mentioned the new figure of 2 billion, I'll sort of not talk about that statistic now because that is could be overridden by time. But importantly, it recognizes the importance it contributes to our GDP, the growth of our economy. That's about 3%. So with the current statistics, I think Millie has posted of 2 billion, So it could be about 2.5 or aching towards 4% in terms of contribution to GDP by 2025. We also recognize the importance it has on our financial inclusion strategy, in that it supports, for example, it presents opportunities for expanding access to formal services for the underserved, that is the women and the youth. It will uplift low-income households, particularly rural areas. I think the dashboard, it was mentioned that about 42% of the inflows go to the rural areas. So that speaks volumes about uplifting households, incomes income in households in rural areas. But also importantly, it has linkages to the parish development model, of course, the aspect of rural areas, but also the Sustainable Development Goals and the Global Compact for Migration, as enabling and as providing an enabling environment for and conditions for the diaspora community. Next slide. So for this diagnostic study, of course, it was a mixed methods approach. We collected some primary information from our financial institutions. To be specific, there were 13 that responded. It was an online survey that we did. We developed a questionnaire and we disseminated it to our members. 13 financial institutions were able to respond. Of those, of course, 9 were tier 1s and the 4s were tier 2s. This was, like I mentioned earlier, it was done in the second quarter of 2022. But importantly, we focused more on these key aspects of the diagnostic study. So basically looking at the drivers, but these are drivers within the financial institutions, the cost drivers within financial institutions. Then what would be some of those, consumer protection and transparency aspects within the financial institutions and the products themselves, that, because it was also important to understand what are some of the products that our members are developing to support the diaspora community in terms of remittance inflows in the country. Next slide. So these are now the findings that we got. In terms of the cost drivers within the financial institutions, this, maybe just for the benefit of those. So the graph on it will be on my left, with the all blue colors, is basically for those financial institutions that were surveyed. And the overall driver was basically in operations, on the operational side of the cost. On the operational side, of course, they mentioned that what basically drives their costs as financial institutions were basically expenses for technology. Of course, they have to innovate in terms of building technology to support those inflows. Regulatory and network fees. Of course, the regulator would want some, they always pay fees to the regulator in terms of licensing. Telecom charges, fraud, of course, mitigating fraud, they also have to invest as a financial institution. And we're also aware that, of course, fraud is an eminent risk in terms of remittance flows. And staffing and compliance and FX costs in terms of exchanging the currencies. So that was the overriding aspect for those that were surveyed. But of course, we can ably infer that these could be some of the sentiments or concerns across the industry, even if we only surveyed 13 financial institutions. Okay, right. I was still just a bit. You moved faster. The previous slide, yeah. So the reds and the blues on the graph, the red and the blue columns basically shows now for the disaggregation for the tier 1s and tier 2s, and it still overrides, but that for the tier 1s it was still operational costs that I think that was the highest cost driver, which was a bit different for the tier 2s, which for the tier 2s I think it was mainly FX and I think compliance, I think from the regulatory side and other compliance from the other stakeholders. Okay, you can move now. So in terms of customer protection and transparency, of course, almost all financial institutions say they provide remittance information to their clients. Then 11 out of 13 offer tools to enhance financial skills. Of course, this speaks more to building their financial literacy of those who are remitting money. And then 9 of those, of course, include international remittances in financial literacy programs. I think that speaks to the other point as well. And then all of them, of course, provide fraud awareness to their clients. Like I mentioned earlier, that of course fraud becomes an imminent risk for those that are dealing in remittances because we're looking at flows crossing borders. And of course, all of them, of course, say they have a redress mechanism for addressing, of course, those risks like fraud that, of course, some of their clients might raise as complaints. And then 4 out of the 13, of course, involve their customers in shaping compliant processes, which are a clear area for improvement. Of course, it speaks to the fact that, of course, of the 13, the 4 probably provide some sort of advice or guidance to their clientele. And then most of them, of course, see digital channels as a feature to expand the use and services, but also create awareness in terms of remittances. Sorry. So on the products that on the key aspect of the diaspora focused products, of course, 8 out of 13 surveyed reported that they have some form of diaspora banking within them. And then those, of course, 3, of course, they say they provide insurance products like life, health, and funeral services, and funeral-related products. And then 5 of the 13, of course, say they do not offer diaspora focused services. And of course, most of them said, of course, they intend to expand to that area because I think they see it as a fast-growing sector that they could expand for their business development. And then, but majority of them, of course, agreed that they have a range of products, including financial service, saving accounts, fixed deposits, mortgages, personal loans, and a list to mention. The next slide. So, in conclusion, basically, from what emerged from the diagnostic study, of course, while of course there's some level of progress in terms of our members supporting this subsector, of course there's some unevenness in terms of there's some observed unevenness in terms of certain of those key aspects that I mentioned. So one is, of course, shared recognition of the importance of remittances and diaspora products, emerging use of digital tools and customer education, limited product innovation for diaspora market, and disparities in service quality and transparency. So of course there's some unevenness in those key areas. So what needs to be then done if there's that observed unevenness in the industry? Of course, one is strengthening collaboration across the industry through knowledge sharing forums, for example, like this one. I think it becomes very important to address that aspect of creating awareness. The technical assistance, IFAD has done that for BOU now that we have the granularity in the information that will be coming from the remittances, because that feeds into development of the products and services for the financial institutions. And then launching digital tools for financial education and targeting remittance recipients, and also establishing performance metrics for customer service and transparency remittance services. So these will be my concluding remarks. So when we did this, this was I think in the first 2 months of the quarter 2 of last year. So in the third quarter in July, we had our annual bankers conference, and I think based on what we were doing with IFAD, we decided that the theme of that conference would be centered on remittances and their potential, and how the industry can harness them for the development of the country. So in that conference, of course, a lot of issues came up, but all of the issues centered around creating an enabling environment, both policy and regulatory, to help in increasing remittance flows for the potential of that, for the potential of developing the country. But the policy and regulatory aspect was on addressing the cost element, because I think that came out, that was more pronounced in that conference, that while we see a lot of remittance flows in the country, the cost of transferring those remittances remains high in the in the country. So then, again, after that, we as an industry, we developed our banking industry response plan. This is to the government's tenfold growth strategy. So for the benefit of those who might not know it, the government has that strategy to develop the economy tenfold from the current 50 billion to about 400 billion by 2040. So we're tasked as an industry, and this is from the governor, that what can we do as an industry to support government to achieve that tenfold growth strategy. And we all know that if you want to do that, for government to achieve that, the private sector remains very, very central. And what ingredient is very central for the private sector to grow? That is credit. And who gives credit? It's us, the banks. So we developed a strategy, and that strategy basically envisages to extend credit to about, I think I bolded this figure, 490 trillion, which is about 134 billion US dollars. That is in terms of private sector extension by 2040. So that speaks a big volume or a big ask from us. It's a target that we created based on a number of projections that were done. So while it's big, it's achievable. And basically to speak to some of the things that we've done after developing this strategy document, we presented it to all our CSO members. We also presented it to the governor of the central bank. We presented it to the development partners and other other DFIs. And we presented it to also the PSST and of Ministry of Finance. And the last presentation was done to the chairs and boards of directors of all supervised financial institutions. So this meeting in particular was convened by the governor himself. And the essence of this is not just to present to them the plan, but for them to appreciate where the financial sector is going to go for the next 15 or so years, that things are probably going to be a bit different. And in doing this, the reason, I think most of you might be asking why I'm saying this. The reason I'm bringing this up is for us to acknowledge the fact that we're going to pick up some of the strategies that we developed in this plan, have a response to how the industry is going to support the remittances sector, for example. And I'll give one very important aspect we've done. So from our strategic interventions, we are developing what we call a diaspora working group. It's currently in the offing, and it's going to be a multi-stakeholder broad working group, and its mandate will be basically one, to drive policy around remittances. Secondly, we want to see how can we channel all those remittances, because in the tenfold growth strategy, government looks at things like, for example, diaspora bonds, infrastructure bonds. So these are long-term projects. And these bonds can be used to finance infrastructure projects. For example, if I say maybe the SGR, for example, government is currently in the offing also to start the SGR from our end to Kenya side. So how can we channel all those remittances into something, into for example, the SGR development, but look it in as capital that will benefit the country, that is one, but also benefit those who are channeling the money in terms of getting interest from those bonds when they're actualized. So that is our thought process currently, and it is very clearly earmarked in our plan. And we're also putting together key stakeholders that we think will also support us in developing of that plan. It's a very enormous plan, but we think we can ably kick it off, because we have the support from all the key stakeholders, from government to Millie, your boss, the governor, and the boards and chairs. And currently the banks, I think there's a circular going to come out very soon, requiring the banks to integrate this plan into their strategic plan. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Ronald. A big round of applause for him. I know that the morning has been very busy. I don't know, let's see if there is any questions for you at this stage. But I mean, the presentation will be shared, and probably also the National Financial Inclusion team at BOU will kind of domesticate and share widely in the next round of, let's say, updates. I think from my end, I mean, on the brief reflection, I see that remittance receivers are still an untapped market to focus for, adjacent service like credit, savings, insurance, etc. And yeah, very keen and look forward also to know more and to join the diaspora working group, Ronald. Before we break, I believe that this morning we extensively picture out, the data on the sector. You have the Apex body that is on it with plans and with resource. And you will hear in the second part of the event other voices that will mention and share their ideas on how this data will impact their daily activities. So before we break, and we will break until 12:20, I kindly ask you to go down to the reception to have a group picture, because we wish to celebrate with you all these days, because it's a kind of historical day for the remittance sector. And then you can come back and grab your cup of tea and coffee and snack. So please, for those that wish to be in the picture, I hope all of you, unless you don't, go down. It's just few steps. We take the picture and then we come back for tea break, and then we'll start again the session with panel discussion by 12:20. Thank you.
know when you gave your love away, it opened your heart. Everything is new, and you know time will always find a way to let your heart believe it's true. You know love is everything you say, a whisper, a word, promises you give. You feel it in the heartbeat of the day. You know this is the way love is. Amarantine, Amarantine, Amarantine. Love is love, Amarantine, Amarantine, Amarantine. Love is love. You know love may sometimes make you cry. mountains go, they will flow away, for you know love will always let you fly. How far a heart can fly away. Amaranti, Amaranti, Amaranti. Love is always love. Amaranti, Amaranti, Amaranti. Love is always love. Amaranti, Amaranti, Amaranti. Love is always love. You know when love's shining in your eyes, it may be the stars falling from above, and you know love is with you when you rise. For night and day belong to Here am I, it's another good morning. Says, adios, says, adios. And do you know why she will break down and cry? She says, adios, says, adios, goodbye. One by one, my leaves fall. One by one, my tales are told. It's all like she's yearning to find. She says, adios, and now you know why. It's a reason to sigh. She says, adios, one by one, my leaves fall. One by one, my tales are told. My, oh my, she was aiming too high. He says, adios, and now you know why. There's no moon in the sky. He says, adios, He says, adios, to this moment only in my dreams. You're missing, but you're always a heartbeat from me. I'm lost now without you. I don't know where you are. I keep watching, I keep hoping, but time keeps us apart. Is there a way I can find you? Is there a sign I should know? Is there a road I could follow to bring you back home? Winter lies before me. Now you're so far away. In the darkness of my dreaming, the light of you will stay. If I could be close beside you, if I could be where you are, it be when darkness falls, your heart will be true. You walk a lonely road, oh how far you are from home. Morning air, May it be the shadows call will fly away. May it be you journey on to light the day. When the night is over, you may rise to find the sun. Morning air, believe and you will find your way. Morning air, our promises within you. Our promises
All right. I think we can get started. It's 12:25. It's a good time. We have just 5 minutes delay. That's a good progress. I wish to invite the broadcasting team to lower the volume, so I can invite my fellow panelists for to join me and to have this discussion at the end of the this event. So please help me in welcoming them. I will invite the following people to join the session. We will discuss about remittances and the impact on policy and business strategy. So please welcome Winfred Warui, Equity Bank Uganda. Please welcome on stage Winfred, free seating. Please, you are the first to join the floor. The next is Rita Karungi, Bank of Uganda. Please welcome Rita as well. You should be more energetic after the coffee break, people. Help me to welcome Joseph Lutwama, FSD Uganda. Welcome, Joseph. And last but not least, Delia Dean, independent senior technical expert. Thank you. Thank you all to join me. We here have a fantastic mix of experience and that will contribute to the discussion from policy level, market and research. So without further ado, I think any of you can just brief the audience of the specific role that you are covering right now in the organization in the first minute of the conversation, and then you can answer to my question. We aim to have a couple of questions for all, and then we'll open for Q&A, if any. So let me start with Rita. Your colleague today presents something that we were working for a long time, and we wish to know from your hand how this data will change the policy landscape from your perspective compared to traditional aggregated data. So over to you, Rita. Thank you.
Thank you, David. Do I start from introducing myself or I go straight to the question? Okay, for the benefit of those in the room, my name is Rita Karungi Butime. I serve at the Central Bank, the National Payment Systems Department, specifically supporting the implementation of the National Financial Inclusion Strategy for Uganda. And at the heart of this strategy is the contribution that remittances bring to advance financial inclusion to rural households that have been excluded for a very long time. And today was really an exciting opportunity to see the dashboard live. And for us as policymakers trying to push for more access and usage of financial services in Uganda, it's really a key milestone. And this data is going to guide our efforts, be able to develop human-centered policies that affect the markets or market segments that are being displayed on the dashboard. For example, today we are able to see which corridors are busy and what purposes these remittances are doing. And in that, we are able to work with financial services providers to develop products and services that suit these markets. I mean, the people that are receiving remittances, and also those who are sending, what is in it for them. We want to be able to have financially healthy citizens where a person is able to access an insurance product. As they are in the diaspora, they are able to fully participate in the local markets in Uganda. We had examples of diaspora bonds that are in the works. That's also under the National Financial Inclusion Strategy. basically that's what I would say. And maybe in addition, the products and services that will be developed will be rich, and they will meet the needs of the markets or the target segments that we'll have picked from the data. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Rita. I think it was a great kickstart, and then we'll definitely go further with you and also on the gender work that you are running. Winfred, we have been discussing about this data, I think, since the initial NRSN. She was looking for data, give me the data, I need the data, and now you have the data. So as mentioned, we are very proud and happy because, of course, has been, of course, a BOU-led initiative, but also the market was looking for that. I spoke during the coffee break with other people that will definitely use this data, and we will follow up with you because, again, data is key, and we wish to see, how the data is treated, and also if you need any additional support on this. So, burning question. Let's start very, let's say, on the key topic. What is the one immediate business decision or innovation that you would take based on this new data?
Thank you, Berno. Maybe I'll start by introducing myself. My name is Winfred Wanjiru Warui. I work for Equity Bank Uganda Limited. I live in Uganda. I'm Kenyan. I'm East African. And I've been here now for 5 years, heading the remittance department and diaspora banking in Equity Bank. And when I just joined, I was very keen to grow the department. And one thing I needed was data, and it wasn't available. And then fortunately, I landed onto David, and I kept sending him emails. Can you provide me some data that I can use to make some critical decisions? Because when you're dealing with the diaspora, you need to know where they are. You need to know their distribution. You want to know how are they sending this money, to who are they sending it, so that when you're making a decision of diaspora activations, for example, when you need to go travel and meet them for conversion rate, you want to know where they are and where do you get value. So at that point, I remember we just got some shanty information. We made some decisions that were wrong because we had wrong data. So I'd want to tell David that with this new granular, and I underline granular data set, one of the first things we will do as Equity Bank is to relook at our product offering. We have a standard product offering for the diaspora. If it's a savings account, it's a standard savings account. If it is loans, we have a standard loan facility for diaspora customers. But the first thing we'll do when we get back to the office is to relook at our savings product and ensure that we have a product that suits each market. The interest rates that we give the customers should fit the market. If you look at the US and the UK Europe corridors, vis-a-vis the GCC, we're going to rework our product offering to make sure that it meets the needs of these people. When you look at the loan offering for customers in the UK, in the Western world, they're there for longer durations, they have higher salaries. So we're going to tailor-make a loan product for them. Then we're going to tailor-make a special loan product for the customers in the GCC. That notwithstanding, we are also going to look at how do we handle our customers who walk into the branch to do cash pickup. We've seen the data on outbound, which has been very scanty. So we're going to relook at what is our process like for customers walking into the branch to do an outbound solution. Right? How do we make sure that the customer experience is improved for them? How do we ensure that they're given a quick turnaround time as opposed to being mixed with everybody in the unit? So I think critical decisions will be relook at our products, and secondly, relook at our processes when we are looking at outbound. On the part of inbound, it's a bit difficult to control because we partner with remitters. Maybe we'll have to discuss around the pricing. Yeah, so I think that would be the first thing that we do, David.
Amazing. Looking forward to follow up with you and to appreciate how things can move forward. But I think this is a call for action for all of you. I think after disseminating this data, I think remittance service provider in Uganda will have a great opportunity to innovate and to stay ahead of the remittance innovation headlines, and also to attract additional interest from abroad in terms of investment attentions, and also to follow up this experience. Moving to Joseph. Joseph, we know well the role of FSD Uganda, and please when introduce showcase to the rest of the people that might not know the critical work that you're running in the country. And congratulations once again, because I think last year you celebrated the 10th anniversary. So I think it's a key milestone and to be celebrated, even though it's just past. The straight question to you, and we spoke earlier on this morning, how can development partners like FSD Uganda help translate data into actionable programs and initiatives? Over to you. Thanks.
Thank you, Benno, for inviting me to be part of this panel. My name's again Joseph Lutwama. I work with FST Uganda. I'm the Director of Research and Insights. Essentially, FST Uganda exists to make financial markets work for the poor or for the underserved or unserved population segments. So we exist to be able to facilitate innovations around products, solutions, and business models that can be able to get as many Ugandans included in the financial ecosystem. So essentially, data is at the core of what we do, because without data, you cannot be able to know what you're dealing with. Data does two things. One, it helps you to understand the risks the industry is facing and how to navigate those risks. But it also, more importantly, embedded in the data are opportunities. Most times we tend to focus a lot more on the risks, and we spend less time on understanding the opportunities that underlie the data. So one of the roles we play is to be able to unpack those opportunities and to be able to incentivize the industry to begin to explore the untapped opportunities. Because most times we tend to go for the low-hanging fruits, and yet there's a lot more we can be able to capture in terms of value behind this data. For instance, I was reflecting on the remittances data. If you look at it from a narrow angle, you can just look at it as money that we are receiving into the economy and money going out of the economy. From a banking and financial sector perspective, you may think about how do I facilitate the flow of money in and out of the country. And you create a wide range of products that can make it easier for people to send money or receive money. But if you take a step back and ask yourself, behind the sending and receiving of money are economic decisions that need to be made and needs that need to be met. For me, I think that's where the greatest value is. If I am a person in the diaspora and I'm sending $200 every month to someone in Uganda, they're either going to use that money for education, they're either going to use that money to build a house, they're either going to use that money to invest in a business. The question is, how can I leverage these remittances for me to be able to finance housing for this Ugandan? That's a much bigger conversation than just the cost of receiving and sending money. How can we be intentional to capture that value? At the moment, it's more accidental. The other unpacked opportunity is remittances. If you think about it, are people who have left Uganda to go and sell their services abroad. Essentially, remittances is like export earnings from labor exports. The question is, can we as a country be more intentional in terms of what we are exporting? How do we facilitate the people that we export to these markets? Are we deliberate and intentional on who we export and which sectors we are exporting them? And how are we facilitating them in terms of ensuring that what they earn, they're able to bring it back? We may be very quick to try and look at it as widening the tax base. How can we tax them more, right? What they're earning. But the question is, how can we facilitate them so they can earn more? So that when they are sending, they should not be sending $200. They should be sending 10,000, 100,000, even $1 million back to Uganda. What that means is that you're going to be more deliberate on who even you support to go and work abroad. You're not sending people there to go and wash toilets and dig graves, but actually you're sending people there who are going to actually earn real tangible export earnings. We are bringing in $2 billion now, right? But imagine if we are more intentional in whom we are sending there, we'll probably be bringing in much, much, much more. We keep hearing people that when they go to South Africa for medical, whatever, I think when they go to India, they find that the people who actually attending to them are Ugandans. But have we ever been intentional in terms of exporting these doctors and ensuring that what they're earning does not stay in those countries, but actually comes back to this country? Do we have a framework? Do we have products that ensure that a bigger percentage of what they earn in those countries actually comes back? So those are some of the things I think we can think about innovating and think about with the industry, so that then we can be able to translate this data into tangible value, not only for our households and individual Ugandans, but also for the economy at large.
Thinking about being intentional, which I think is super critical. I was reviewing the Pakistani case recently. They received over 30 billion US dollars, so it's 15 times almost what Uganda received, but in different populations, so it's not comparable. But I think since early 2000s, basically they developed intentional strategy, the government and the central bank, and basically currently the Pakistani abroad, they can open digital account directly on the digital platform without any problems of verification. Is kind of AKYC, and then they can directly subscribe government bond. I think last year's they subscribed over 1.6 billion governmental bonds. So I believe that that should be an interesting route if that's the intention. So fully in line with your thoughts on this. Thank you so much. Last but not least, Delia. Delia, you have a very rich background, and you will tell us in a moment. Question for you is about how this data can create further opportunities in terms of digital financial services, particularly for rural and people and refugees. So yeah, we will love to hear from you on this regard. Thank you.
Yes, it's working now. My name is Delia Dean. I'm an economist, and I guess the umbrella thematic area that I contribute to is economic inclusion, and one of the pillars being inclusion for forcibly displaced person, as well as vulnerable and marginalized. And I'm very grateful that we now actually have data to back a lot of the work that we're doing in different spheres. And the reason why this matters, for example, the work we're doing in social protection, we have a population of 50 million people. When you combine all the government programs, barely 500,000 individuals are covered by the government social protection program. But you do realize then that remittances are actually a private social protection mechanism. When you look at what the data is saying, people are sending money home to families to bridge those shocks that they face in their households. And this data is going to help us further work with the financial service providers to look at, when we look at our migrant labor, if we look at the situation right now, in the Middle East, the pity is we already have people saying there is now a reverse need where their children are unemployed for weeks on end because the resorts and the hospitality industry is on break. But there is nothing left of what they sent to Uganda for the families now to support them back. And so if we look at the remittance data points as an asset that can be leveraged to create collateral, especially for women, as we know in this country, that's a big challenge for women when it comes to asset-backed financing. So over a period of time, can this data point become a point where it's considered within the credit scoring algorithms, but then move on to create intentional products and services so that when young men and women ultimately retire in Uganda, they actually have mechanisms to, one, pick up from where they left off, because many of the labor that we export come back with greater aspirations than when they were here, and without access to finance that is significant, they end up being pushed back. And to what Joseph's point was, can we maximize that human capital that we export? So this data is definitely going to help us, one, in improving social protection interventions, but also a very important data point that you saw, only 1.57% of remittance inflows is going to the Eritrean community. But if you look at Much India division and the transformation of small businesses and real estate value just in Much India division because of the investments that are being put up by Eritrean, Ethiopian, and Sudanese refugees, it really shows you the impact of remittances. Thank you.
And yeah, you can clap louder for her if you wish, huh? Don't be shy. Remain to you. What you presented is definitely, I think an aspirable and desirable setup. What kind of partnership should we see to be together to form, a coalition to make it happen from your perspective?
By and large, what's very important is the fact that most of those partners are actually in this room. You have the Uganda Bankers Association, you have the mobile network operators, the financial service that are commercial banks, as well as the regulator. And I think maybe the piece that's missing, that I see some level of where there's lack of innovation, is in the foreign exchange bureaus. Because for many immigrants, forcefully displaced people, these are much safer spaces for them than your typical banking halls. But a lot of it also has to do with the ID. Some of them have developed relationships with the tellers, and so it's just based on that relationship that they can cash in, cash out. And I think a lot of innovation can happen in that space, because for many migrant workers, refugees, the Forex bureaus, those offices, those spaces need to be leveraged to formalize some of the transactions that then proceed after the cash out. So I think the right people are in here. My colleague from Shamila mentioned something about regulation. When we look at, are the regulators in the send countries and receiving countries speaking to each other, there's a lot that we can do with the State Bank of Sama, which is Saudi Arabia Monetary Authority, as well as the UAE Authority, because they went a step ahead and have now digitized payments of migrant workers, right, to close that loophole of abuse and people not receiving their money. Now, how do we then translate and have interoperability where you have some of that money as it comes into Uganda for multiple use cases? Maybe some of it goes to NSSF. How do we structure those arrangements for long-term life cycle benefit?
Okay, no, thanks. Very interesting. And I think that should be probably the future of what's so-called social remittances in a wider and from a public perspective. I remember sometimes back that there were also initiative and proposal to insure the migrants. I mean, to ask when they move abroad to cover some basic risk, but also to self-cover, you know, if they lose the job, because as we speak today, we do know that a lot of migrants are, you know, might have the job at risk, especially with the crisis in the Middle East. So the question is for Winnie, but I will also love to hear from your experience dealing with migrants, if any. Are the migrants ready to subscribe insurance, let's say, policy and insurance, you know, products, considering that the you know, all the resistance using insurance, because it's a waste of money until you need something. So what is needed to see taking off this initiative to self-protect migrant, but also to be commercially sustainable? And to you, Winnie, on top of that, what do you think is the, let's say, the financial product or investment at large that is currently missing from, of course, equity perspective, but also in general, since you are very knowledgeable of the sector? Over to you. Thanks.
Thank you, David. And I like the way this conversation is flowing, because one of the things we've seen that is lacking is microinsurance for the migrant workers. And also we see a lot of insurance need for migrant workers in the West, whereby they lose a relative, they lose a loved one, and they need to be repatriated back home, and they have to come into communities where they contribute funds to keep repatriating bodies this way. But I'm happy to say that there's an organization that's now looking at coming with an insurance pack specifically for the different categories of migrant workers. So for the customers in the Middle East or the GCC countries, we're coming up with a microinsurance to cater for two things. One, their loved ones back home, because most of the remittances they send home is to cater possibly for a sick child, a sick relative, a sick mother. So that microinsurance facility, as we are tailoring right now, will take care of up to a certain percentage. But on top of that, there's also an issue of repatriation for them, as well as taking care of their deceased relatives here back home. So that insurance cover will also support them in terms of taking care of the burial, the funeral arrangements. And on top of that, we're coming up with a life insurance that takes care of their children in case they are deceased. So it covers both general and it covers the life part. Now for the customers in the Western world, it's more of providing for them an insurance cover that supports on the repatriation aspect of things, because they say that they're wary of contributing for each other. They're tired of raising funds to take care of the needs of their own relatives who lose their lives who are back home, and their very own colleagues who they are with out there and they lose their lives and they have to be repatriated. So microinsurance and general insurance is critical for this. And now with this data set, it gives us more leverage to appreciate to what percentages, how do we set up the pricing, how do we organize that product such that it fits the different corridors, and to make sure that it's both viable to the bank and to the customers. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And I think, yeah, this is deserves definitely a good round of applause, because I think insurance, microinsurance for migrants and for family of migrants, family, you know, in the country is one of the untapped solution, untapped market. And I think the recent FinScope highlighted maybe it's 2% or 3%, something very little. So I think it's a great room for, you know, innovation and let's say conversion and uptake. Connecting to this aspect, Rita, back to you. I would love to know how you are connecting, from a policy perspective, the work that we have been doing in the remittance space with your team on the data, and also on the other, dashboard that you develop on the gender. So I think it would be important also for the colleagues here to have a bit of context. And now, and what are the common entry point that we can further dig into these data points? And from a policy perspective, for instance, are women more willing to subscribe an insurance policy? Have you heard any experience? Have you seen something that might work and be seen as a great practice to innovate the Ugandan market?
Thank you, David. The question is really packed, but I'll start by informing the room that Uganda has a national financial inclusion strategy that was launched in 2023. We are now halfway, and in that strategy, we are keen at deepening the financial sector, developing products and services for all Ugandans, and within one of the strategic objectives, we set out to do a cost study, which was presented today. So I'm glad to say that we've actually delivered on that. And beyond that study, the insights from that study will help us understand how these products and services are priced. And many of us have been informed that Uganda has the highest cost, at least within the region. The last I checked it was at 11% compared to our neighbors, Kenya, Tanzania. And so I feel with the onset of data and the transparency in sharing prices with different service providers, it will promote competition. And with competition, users or customers of financial services will choose a service provider that is more affordable. So with that, we hope that the market will align itself, looking at factors of demand and supply. David also asked on aspects of the data, how is it going to help us? I already mentioned that with data, we are able to get insights on the different market segments. For example, the refugees, where are they located? Which country is the aid coming from? And beyond that, as a policy maker, you want to ensure that this recipient is not only accessing financial services, but is also able to use that as a stepping stone to get other products like insurance, like pensions. And this should also translate to the person sending, because they will not be in the diaspora for long, forever. A time will come and they will also want to come home. You want them to come to a market where they're already financially included, much as they are, earning and living elsewhere. They're able to seamlessly come back and settle into the financial system. So we also spoke about the dashboard. This remittance dashboard is a complementary dashboard. We launched a financial inclusion dashboard last year that's giving us insights. Although we are working towards making the data more granular, we collect this data from financial services providers to see how Ugandans are accessing and using financial services, which products are on the market, where are the gaps, what can financial services do to better improve the uptake and usage of the various products on the market. So we're using the dashboards, including the remittance one, to really build capacity and business case for financial services to be able to develop more products for the users in Uganda. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you. I think also this answer deserves a great round of applause. And Rita, if I may, just to promote the dashboard, when you go to the remittance one, you can access on the same page basically the gender dashboard, right?
Yes, so Ronnie mentioned that Bank of Uganda has had its website under reconstruction. So once it's launched, all the dashboards will be there. So we'll have real-time data, and we hope that with real-time data helps us make real-time decisions, both on the product side and on the policy side. But just before I go, we have a gender problem. The Global Findex report last year indicated a 14% growing gender gap. So gender is not a buzzword, it's actually real, and let's work together to close this gap. Thank you.
Thank you so much for this heads up. In this regard, we recently released a gender report on remittances. We share widely with you. I think might be interesting for additional insight and action. Let me close this round with Joseph before opening for Q&A. Very practical question, since you have been doing with a lot of different entities in your role. How should different stakeholders, government, private sector entities, and researchers best use the dashboard according to your perspective, Joseph?
Yes, I think the dashboard can be used in two ways. One, it can actually be used to inform, and that's where most analysis happens as a market intelligence tool. But most of us actually stop there. Most of us are excited because now you're going to find a source which we can put in your report, or something that you can use to do your research, which is good because it informs you, gives you market intelligence. But there is another use case that we rarely actually use it for, which I call design solutions. That requires us as institutions, whether at government level or private sector level, to adopt a design thinking mindset even in our strategies, right? So when I look at the data points, I should not just look at it from the perspective of how much money is coming from India or Saudi Arabia. I should be asking myself, what are the opportunities I can be able to extract from this data? What is this data telling me about the needs and the challenges and pain points and opportunities for the people who are sending this money? Can I actually create a product that can actually be able to address a problem? So that's why, and that requires you to go beyond just the analysis and the top line analysis to be able to dig behind the data and then design solutions, because behind every data point are needs, are aspirations, are goals, which are looking for product and solutions. They're not looking for analysis. And that's a challenge all of us have at our different levels.
Thank you so much. Let's open for a round of questions, and I think also this answer deserves a great round of applause. And if I may, I'm very glad that we started the conversation. Maybe it was you, Winnie, highlighting human-centric product, and now we are terminating precisely next to it with design-centric design approach. So I think I was also thinking that maybe in the near future we should have a kind of workshop on design thinking and human-centric design to support the consumption of this wonderful data. Any of you has any question for our panelists? Any curiosity? Any points? Or you are already very ready to close the day? I see. We have a question. Thank you for breaking the ice from the central table. Please introduce yourself.
Thank you very much. My name's Christopher Msoke. My question is to Rita, and it is about this wealth of data that we are getting. And I'm wondering how we can incorporate credit reference data. There's plenty of data that can create history for those people who are sending, who are outside, who are Ugandans. And we could incorporate that in some of the, because they are outside the country, we can't capture their credit histories, but they are sending in this massive amount of money. I'm just wondering, from your regulatory perspective, I know it's not in your department, but it's payments, and CRB is licensed by Bank of Uganda. How can we capture this information to help us in the financial inclusion of these people who are eventually going to come back and they have no history, and yet they've been sending a lot of money? Thank you.
Thank you for the question. Let's see if there is any other. I think this is a unique opportunity to drop questions to high caliber speakers here. If you have any curiosity, Rita, proceed with answering to the question, then we'll see if any other question come. Otherwise, we close. Thanks.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Msoke. This is a very thoughtful angle, and I agree with you that if somebody is sending money for decades and with all that money sent, it does not translate to their credibility in the financial system where they've been sending money, it would be a waste of, time and resources. So to my thinking is this is why we want to attract financial services providers to develop products and services for these people to actually participate in the formal system. For example, be able to open accounts that are user friendly for them, maybe a low charge account because they are not actively participating, but also develop products like the diaspora bond that I spoke about. Somebody being able to buy a portion of a loan, you have a CSD account, you have a relationship with a financial institution, they are able to see that so and so has an account or has a portion of a bond in this, and that's a basis really for knowing the customer and eventually being able to lend to you when need arises. So we're pushing for more products and services for these people, for them to formally participate in the formal system beyond just sending money anonymously into the financial system. And that, with that, they'll be able to build their credit and be picked up with a credit reference bureau. Thank you.
I see two more hands on that hand. 3 hands, and then I think we conclude on this topic of credit. I think I saw Yoram of Wapi Pay before. I don't know if he left, but you might check with him because Wapi Pay headquarters is in Kenya, but they have operation in Uganda and other countries. So basically, they released recently a remittance credit scoring. I think they wish to provide this data to the digital lenders. This is the immediate goal. So I think somehow, slowly, I would say, or maybe just the fintech are taking advantage of this, using these data points to support, adoption or other solutions. So we'll ask more information to Yoram as well and to be shared. So I see colleagues on the back of the room. Please introduce yourself and make your question. Thanks.
Thank you very much. I'm called James Gihoma. I work with YFS Finance Limited as a director. My question goes to Bank of Uganda. According to the data, it shows that people are receiving remittance via cash and digital. When I say cash, I understood it as receiving cash from the teller and also forex bureaus. And then digital is mobile money, which is MTN and Airtel. Then the cash seems to be very less, and digital becomes so high. So we have licensed companies who are doing this money remittance to give cash to individuals, including Forex. It shows that the reduction in cash way of receiving remittance is reducing, and there's a fee that companies doing this work that they pay annually. And actually I've seen other Forex in my village, because for us we operate in a village, doing it without a license. And I have shared the information with the colleagues from the Bank of Uganda, and they have visited them, and they are still operating. Does it mean that maybe sometimes this license is not needed because even the market is reducing? And based on the market and the statistics, should we say that maybe there is a way we are going to remove this license so that maybe people are able to, because they are not very many as such? Thank you very much.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Rukundo Lucy I work with Prudential Assurance Uganda Limited. We do insurance. So mine will go straight to the comment on insurance. I feel that some of whatever we are discussing today cannot be achieved if the regulator does not handle it from the regulation aspect. Several years ago, I worked in the bank, and one of the banks I worked with, we would never accept somebody to open an account without a national, what is it? Water and national sewerage corporation water bill and power bill. And then at some point, we were not also accepting a local ID. And of course, we grew past that and started taking a local ID. But my comment is, I've seen these Eritreans, for example, the foreigners, the immigrants that are here in Uganda struggle to work with us as banks because of their identification. So I feel that at the regulatory point, we actually, are not enforcing what we seem to be wanting to promote today. And the same applies to insurance. When I am trying to give somebody who is a foreigner a policy, they must have a work permit with us, which most times they do not. And, then we miss out on that. So to BOU, on the regulatory aspect, how are you going to ensure that these remittances are actually tapped into? Because most of these guys who are in the US do not want to hold our ID unless they have an access to dual citizenship or something like that, and we block them at that point. Just an example. Thank you very much. A good day.
Thank you. Good afternoon. My name's Maxam Luswata. I am a member of the diaspora community, so maybe a cent or two is part of these statistics. But my question goes to you, David. I just wanted to understand within the context of IFAD and the other member states, how if these kind of granular data remittance dashboards have been of use, how have they evolved in other member states that you've worked with? What have been the most of the benefits that you've seen, and what could be the lessons for us as a country? Thank you.
You wanna go first, or? Probably you should have a special angle and corner to receive your comments. But yeah, I know that you will handle this brilliantly. So yeah, if you can give her the mic, thanks.
For this one, I would want my colleague Ronnie to make a comment about the people the people doing the business of Forex in the rural areas and they're not licensed. Is BOU interested? Is it turning a blind ear? What is the situation? Then I'll speak about the digital one. I'm putting Ronnie on the spot because he was a former supervisor in BOU.
Thank you for the question, and I like that you said you reported, because of course these are some industry malpractices. There is a reason why licenses are necessary for good practice and for supervision and regulation in that aspect. So there will be those few outliers, but it's necessary to have an organized ecosystem around both the exchange of money, especially cash, and sending money across borders. I don't know if that answers your question. That is an anomaly. It's not. Well, you added that. Is it then still necessary to license? I think it is. There are benefits. Yes, regulation. There are countries that have less regulation and then have deeper crises when they fall, and others that have high regulation and then they don't seem to grow as fast as the rest. But when the crises come, they're not as deep. There is two sides to the coin on the regulation bit. I hope to submit at this point.
Thank you, Ronnie. And in addition, it's an issue of financial literacy. People are not really well versed with information on the advantages of formalizing their business, and even the customers don't know the repercussions of using service providers that are not licensed. In the event that someone takes your money, what do you do? But the Bank of Uganda is trying its best to carry out countrywide awareness campaigns on why it's important to deal with regulated financial institutions. When you see cash reducing, know that the Bank of Uganda's mandate is being pushed forward. And I wish my boss was here to hear that people are using less cash now and moving to digital. So it's a deliberate effort by the Bank of Uganda to see that many people access financial services on digital platforms, because that will be able to help us scale to areas like in the rural areas that have been excluded for a very long time. Thank you.
Excuse, someone wants to make a comment from the association, the chair.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. To that question, I'm called Kiza Lamek from the Forex Bureau Association. Bank of Uganda and Forex Bureau Association, together with the police, President's Office, and security organs have formed a task force to go around the country identifying people who are doing illegal money exchanges. So the task force has started long time. We are about we're trying to conclude with action, because most of the people who have been carrying on illegal transactions have been advised to get licenses and given time to transit, but now that time is expiring, so force is going to be used in the next phase. So my friend, since you have reported, and we are going to insist that you be visited and action be taken. Thank you.
Yes, I wanted to comment on the comment around migrant inclusion in regards to financial access. Here, I will defend the regulator because a lot of work has gone on towards supporting tiered KYC. What happens then is what Joseph and Winnie alluded to is now the innovation on the part of the service provider, the human-centric approach to it, and the design thinking. So again, if you took a survey around Makindye division, you will find that Winnie's branches have queues of migrants, and 2-3 kilometers on either side of her there are other financial institutions, and there are no migrant workers there, but all being supervised by the same regulator. And then when you go into those that are not serving, they always throw it back at, but the regulator does not allow us. But it's because they are entities that are deliberate and intentional at figuring out within the KYC regulation, how can we serve this community? And then on your question on insurance and whether or not migrant workers, but also marginalized people are ready for insurance, in my experience thus far, the answer is no, because there's a product and expectation mismatch. We're asking people with small disposable income who are used to immediate investment equals immediate utility to switch to immediate investment for future utility. But also the experience that has come around the claiming, when you go to process your claim, it is too complex for an average rural woman, for a migrant worker to pursue that claim. I mean, even I really struggle when I have to make a claim and the terms and conditions suddenly just scream out at you and it's not what you thought you signed up for. So imagine the migrant workers' small disposable income. And so unless we figure out how to do bundled products where you match an immediate need with some kind of future risk offsetting, maybe that way we can drive insurance uptake.
Thank you so much. Please, also Winnie wish to add something.
In addition, as we push for financial inclusion, we need to find a balance between financial inclusion and financial integrity, because it affects our rating as a country if we don't comply to the AML CFT requirements by FATF. We'll find Uganda back on a grey or black list, and that will affect our financial sector heavily. So when we ask for disclosures, it's not because we want to push people out of the formal financial system, but it's compliance, and it helps all of us. We are currently off the grey list. We are going to be reassessed, I think, 2028. And if we don't comply with these standards, then we'll find ourselves back in a terrible situation where our financial sector will not be attractive to investors. Thank you.
Thank you. And to continue on with the conversation towards closure, I want to speak into the insurance. And I think the company that I alluded to is known as Shade Insurance. And they've come up with a very special product for migrant workers. They're paying about 200,000 Uganda shillings per annum. I think that's doable when you think about it. So for the migrant worker who is willing to get that support, then it's possible to get some sort of buffer on the side of insurance, because I think 200 is not too much for them, and it will cover life. There's a life aspect to it. And then also on the regulation, definitely as a country, when we were towards the middle of the grey list, as bankers, it was very difficult to do business. But now with the move from the dark to the grey and possibly completely getting out of those listings, it's becomes much easier for us who are dealing with the diaspora customers to manage them. As a bank on the diaspora side, we partner with external service providers that help us collect KYC. So for example, there's a system known as LexisNexis that helps us get the details of the diaspora customer wherever they are. It gives us their address, it gives us their email address, it shows us where that email address was registered first time. And so we're able to follow those kind of organizations to get clear KYC. We partner with Experian on the question of credit scoring. We partner with Experian and other companies that help us give us credit history of the migrant workers. And lastly, we're also very clear on World Check. We will not do any transaction with a diaspora customer if we don't pass their passports through the World Check. So regulation is critical. It doesn't fight the business. We work together. We collaborate, because if we look at regulation as an enemy, then we are shooting ourselves in the foot. So as Equity Bank, we are very serious about following the risk aspect and finding a middle ground such that we provide service to the customer in a regulated manner. I think that would be my parting shot. Thank you.
Thank you. I'll consider as such. Before handing over for the rest for the closing remarks, two things. I was asked something to respond from the gentleman from the diaspora community. But I mean, I wish just to contribute also to this conversation to make the case, at least from my experience, that regulators in East Africa are very open for discussion and for innovation. So the regulation is there for, of course, for driving the sector and to be compliant, to be stable, etc. But I think in these markets there is ample space for innovation and collaborations within the sandbox and beyond. Back to the question, data. How often we saw this type of data? I would say rarely. I think a map that we can distribute, made by our colleagues at the UNCDF in the recent past, showcased around 20 countries with some level of granularity. As mentioned earlier this morning, this level I haven't seen in Africa. In any of the country I covered, even though Africa has so many countries, but I recall Cape Verde with some good level of the granularity. Kenya as the source country, but doesn't have all the rest, so it's just scratching the surface. The other two countries I was mentioned earlier, Pakistan, Sri Lanka, Filipino, they do have some data, and has been alluded earlier from other speakers. They are using this data intentionally. Of course, the data, the level of data you see in the market is either driven by the government, which wish to put in place policy, to support migration and also to support, macroeconomic aspect that we already mentioned, or from the private sector. Private sector, as I think what impressed from Winnie intervention earlier on was we did make wrong decision because the data were wrong. You know what I mean? So I think it's kind of a result of the both forces. In my view, as IFAD, we believe that at least there should be 3 set of data. Ideally, this is the ideal scenario. The granular data we saw today, diaspora survey or diaspora profile. We used to call Know Your Diaspora. That would be amazing if the central banks or any other public or independent company might run this kind of things. And of course, it's not exhaustive because, as you can imagine, each corridor has its own specificity. The Gulf has people with low ticket and low wage. When you go to the Western area or Australia, they might be professional with higher ticket size. But again, it's a study that we saw in the market coming recently, and I hope that the BOU, FSD, and the other partner might be working on this area. And the other bit is on the household level. So how the money is received and how the money is consumed, and how the additional service can be connected and bundled. I think this tripartite of data will definitely give all the information to the sector. But again, I think also from the diaspora people would be important to know what data you're looking for, because I believe that for you trust is key. And to have I still dream a more transparent market where a person in diaspora can just go to a central bank website or connected and see today the best rate to send money to Uganda is provided by this company or the other company, and of course you don't choose a company just for the price, but it's an important aspect. Then you go with, let me say, equity, because I can access loans. I mean, we wish to see, value-added proposition provided by the banks. The price is just the initial level, and we do know that also as a practitioner, we should probably propose a unified price for remittances rather to have fees and forex margin, which is very complex. So yeah, that's my brief question answer to your question. The last 30 seconds each before we close, and we celebrate the day over lunch. Delia, Joseph, then Rita. And precisely, what is one concrete action that you will take after this launch event?
I think one concrete action from this, now that we actually have data, is to work with NSSF better in designing a product for our one of the upcoming social protection programs. And my parting shot is always around human-centered, consumer-centric design thinking. Without this, we're just innovating for the sake of innovation. Thank you.
My parting shot is that we need to go beyond analysis to actually designing solutions that actually speak to the needs of the people in diaspora. And I was just thinking to myself, we may need to think about even revisiting why we call them remittances. Because it's like I'm just sending money, you know. But if people begin to look at it as I'm investing, I'm saving, probably they will attach more value to it, right? But here it's like they're just throwing something to a place they left, right? That's probably why they don't attach a lot more value. But if I'm saving for something, I'm investing in something, I attach a lot more value to it. So that is something for us to ponder.
Thank you.
Mine is really the data is helping us see the people behind the numbers. And with this, we are able to develop products and services, develop policies that are human-centric, and also help us drive financial inclusion and resilience for households, therefore contributing to overall economic growth of Uganda. So for me, really, the data is going to assist in the monitoring and evaluation of our strategy as we get to the midterm point to see what better direction we can take as far as this income stream is concerned, and how we can support on the policy side to promote other use cases beyond send and receiving money for both the recipient and the sender. Thank you.
Thank you so much. With that, we conclude this panel discussion. I think we can award the panelists with a great round of applause. The conversation has been very, very rich. I took so many notes, but again, I think the aspect of treating data beyond the analysis and trying to see the value, to test the value, to discuss with the regulators, to test a solution that will fit the migrants and the family needs. I think it's key, and look for solution that are out of the box. Also look at other jurisdiction that might have similar solutions or innovative solution that might be suitable for Uganda. Just one thing that I recall maybe was in the States, so I'll try to provide the nitty-gritty, but basically there are some countries where the migrants can bring with them the credit history. So I think as Ugandans, you can propose to the partner you work with abroad to give access to the credit history of David or Rita or whatever. So when they work over there, they already have some historic data that might be leveraged, because otherwise you are a migrant, you just arrived, you are so risky, I won't give you any money, no? So I think it's a matter of trying to look at this matter comprehensively and as mentioned globally. Since it's a global matter. We wish to keep working on this and support all the party here, and so thank you so much. It was a fantastic discussion. Maybe we can have a group picture if the photographer is still around. Yep. And then I think we can close and we can eventually go for lunch. All right. My final word, I mean, I was expecting colleagues from my own. Sorry, sure. Just right. So gladly I hand over to you. Closing remarks. Thank you. Please welcome Bisharo Ali Hussein from IOM with a round of applause. I think you can sit or stay here as you prefer. Thanks.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon, colleagues. Probably will not be able to do justice to this closing remarks. We got you through the last session.
Watching the sky, black as a crow,
The speakers here.
light passes by,
Session
taking the stars so far away. Everything glows. Here comes another new day.
It's always very important to bring
Into the waves,
stakeholders to
I throw the
especially when we speak
light,
about
silver and gold, turn into light. I'm on the road, I know the way.
taking place this morning, discussions about
Here
publishing,
comes another new day.
service provision, building products for clients, innovation, having conducive environment for the people that we serve, especially the migrants and the diaspora, but also regulations, policies, which are the foundation frameworks that support us in the work that we do. The issue of institutions, but also finally as remittance is a lifeline to many of the families that are there. I've also been a diaspora before. I have sent remittances in many ways and forms in different spheres. I know all of you also send money, not only maybe abroad, but also to your parents or to your siblings or to other colleagues just next door or to the next city. So there are different ways and forms of how we send money, but also the use of this money. As we come closer to this dissemination workshop of granular remittances, I would like to sincerely thank each and every one of you here. You are here because you're doing something important in this space, in any of the spheres that I've talked about, maybe building a product, designing or policy or regulation, any of those places that you work in. So thank you very much. You're really strengthening the Uganda financial ecosystem. I'll also like to say that remittances are not just flows of money. They are lifelines for households, as I mentioned. They drive investments, but also critical pillar for our national development. By improving the quality, detail, and usability of this data, especially remittance data, we are equipping ourselves with tools that need to make us have informed policies through evidence-based data, but also design better financial products and ultimately improving the lives of Ugandans, either here, but also outside. The value of this project also lies not only in data that we have generated, but how we choose to use it. This is very important. We just didn't come to sit here and listen and see and discuss this, but what do we leave this place with? What are the actions you personally are taking forward from this is what is important, which is stronger collaboration among our institutions, especially the government institutions led by the Bank of Uganda, the financial service providers, the regulators, but also the development partners. This is where IOM, IFED, and other partners in this house or in this room trying to do. How do we support the government of Uganda to ensure that we deliver better services, but also support the most vulnerable people and the most people in need to invest or make impact with the remittances that we are receiving. It also challenges us to move from insights to action, ensuring that this data informs decision, enhance transparency. All our speakers talked about this today, but also promoting financial inclusion across all regions in the country. As national stakeholders here, your role is very crucial, whether in policy formulation, service delivery, innovation, responsibility to translate these findings into tangible impact. As we level up, I believe we have a shared commitment in institutionalizing this regulatory or this granular remittance data in our planning and decision making. This is some of the things that you can do immediately you leave this to your organization. To strengthen the system for continuous data collection, but also sharing, and ensuring that the remittance flows are leveraged for inclusion, but also for sustainable development. And I believe that if we continue working together, we can do more for the people. It's all about collaboration. No one who works in silos develops something great for their people, for the nation. We all need to work together collectively to make an impact. And that's why we are all here, and that's why you're committed to join us today. And we hope to continue working together. And I would like to just mention one. As IOM, we are also part of the Secretariat and the coordinator of the UN network of migration. It's called the UNNM. IFAD is also part of it. And this is a UN network approach by bringing UN entities to support the government in implementation of Global Compact of Migration. And one of the priorities of the country that the resident coordinator and all the UN agencies saw was the essence of data. And with that, it informed us to establish a migration data technical working group to see how we can support the government really harness the power of data. Data is very sensitive, it is expensive, but also is very important to inform whatever we do, either programming or policy. Therefore, this is why we are here, to see how we can support. But also, I see some faces, familiar faces that I know. We have something called National Coordination Mechanism on Migration, NCM, which is a government-led platform that brings all relevant MDAs, civil society, private sector, and development partners together to discuss about migration issues in the country. They have a lot of discourse about, the essence of migration and how we can govern it better. And one of the technical working groups also through that network is data, remittance, and diaspora, meaning that these are important thematic areas that will drive innovation but also development in the country. So we hope to continue working with all of you together to see how we can harness and make impact on this remittance, because we know many people have or many countries have seen the fruits of it, and we hope Uganda will continue seeing the fruits of it. With that, I thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Bisharo, for your closing remark, and we are proudly part of the United Nations Network on Migration. Last two announcements, just about of an announcement, 30 seconds. You will receive the new campaign of the IDFR. You have seen some IDFR banners. IDFR stands for the International Day of Family Remittances. This year, the theme is Remittance for Rural Resilience, Entrepreneurship and Employment. So yeah, we are looking forward to receiving your commitment, your support, since this is very relevant also in that sense. And the other communication is we will share a survey related to the day, and also the data that we share with BOU, and potential comment and feedback for follow-up. So with that, I think my colleagues from BOU already distributed the voucher. I think we are good to go. So wishing you a fantastic lunch, networking, and rest of the day. Thank you.